Hello, and welcome to the D4, the Mighty Daves and Ari show. I'm your host, Dave Ball, also known as Blinson on Reddit and at Blinson1 on Twitter. Today I am joined by the other Dave and Ari. So, why don't you guys introduce yourselves, starting with the lovely Ari first.
I'm Ari. I'm a Blackhawks fan. I'm the only person on this show with the team still in the playoffs. And tonight, and you can find me at Twitter at Ari_Raid or on Reddit at Ari_Raid.
Not entirely true. I mean, my first team's not in, but I still love the Caps.
All right. Well, we can all agree on
I
the
mean, my name
Capitals.
might be LA Kings Dave on Twitter and Reddit, but my Flair says Caps right now, and my text Flair has changed to Caps as well. So
Dave
We
just
can
goes,
all-
no, we can't all root for the Capitals. And to that I
We
have to
cannot
say,
root for the Capitals.
shut up, Dave.
We
they've been my
cannot.
second favorite team forever.
See, that's okay, but they decide to hurt Baby Shen every single time we play them, so I cannot like them.
Admittedly, that's kind of funny.
Maybe you should
No.
trade him back to us.
No! Fine, we'll
Maybe
take
he wouldn't get
Kopitar
hurt
for him.
over there in Philly. Maybe he'd win a championship in LA. I don't know.
Wow, maybe he would make the playoffs in Philly first.
Or he might end up with a coke, addiction. It's cool.
To be fair, he might end up with a coke just in LA too.
Yeah!
Let's not get too far away from ourselves. Anyway, the theme of this episode, as you probably could have guessed, would be the playoffs. I think we should probably start with a recap of the playoff series we've been through so far. So, in order of shortest to longest, Winnipeg and Anaheim.
They were. It's amazing. Winnipeg was in the playoffs for all of 4 games.
And they
After
were
that
still
many years, 4 games is all they had.
and they were still more excited about it than probably anyone else.
It's still sad that there was 2 playoff series for the Atlantic Thrashers franchise, and they still have yet to win a game.
Listen, I don't know why people are surprised that this was a sweep. Okay? I don't know how anybody figured that the freaking Jets were going to hang with the Ducks, unless they just haven't watched Ducks games, which I would imagine most of the media has not. The Ducks are so deep and so good and so strong and fast, and everyone's like, oh, their goaltending controversy. Bull crap. Everybody knew Frederik Andersen was going to start.
I think I had the Ducks winning in 5 games.
I think I had 5 also, so... Like, I gave the benefit of a doubt of this is the first time in the playoffs Winnipeg is going to be loud. They might win a game at home.
Yeah, it's hard to win 4 straight for anyone. And also, I do think Winnipeg is a good team. Anaheim is clearly the superior team.
Yeah.
But, there's some really strong defensemen on that team. Dustin Byfuglien, obviously, I think is great. Jacob Trouba has been really good. There's some forward depth now, Andrew Ladd, et cetera, et cetera. I thought they could win a game, maybe even 2. But I'm not surprised that that Anaheim won the series.
Yeah, that was not the surprising part. It was just that, obviously, like I already said, I thought it was going to be at least 1 win.
How easy is Anaheim's road to the conference finals, by the way?
Very easy. Going against Calgary now?
I almost wish the Blackhawks had been the wild card and had played the Pacific Division.
Like, Anaheim has a clean sweep to the
He
finals.
would rather played Anaheim in the first round.
Well, we could have played Anaheim in the first round and then Calgary in the second round versus playing Nashville in the first round and then either Minnesota or St. Louis.
I guess that's true, but
I mean,
I think
on balance, I think that road is much easier than having to play. I think playing one really good team and then one just clearly bad team is superior to playing 2 very good teams.
I think that the Central is going to beat itself up regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that obviously everybody would have wanted to play in the Pacific this year, unlike the last couple of years. But I still think Chicago is going to come out of the Central at this point, especially with the Blues gone.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sure we'll get some predictions for the series, but I'm worried that even if we do win, how many games it's going to take, because it's clearly looking like Anaheim's going to sweep. Or come close to sweeping. It doesn't look like this is going to be a very competitive series against Calgary.
Oh, I didn't even
I wrote
see
an
what the
article.
score was.
I wrote an article this week for the Hockey Writers,
Yeah?
and I did some research on sweeps. No team since 1992 has swept consecutive series. and no team has ever swept the second round after sweeping a first-round series.
Interesting.
So, it would be a first for the Ducks. Yeah, and it would be the first in the NHL, if that ever happened. It would be the second time the Ducks have swept two teams in a playoff series, though.
But looking at that game, it was 6-1 on that happened. I actually didn't even notice the score until this moment. I didn't even look it up. But 6-1, I guess it was very Anaheim favored.
Yeah, from the start of the game to the end of the game.
Excuse me, Calgary has not won a game in Anaheim since the lockout in 2005.
Wow.
I think that's a meaningless narrative, though.
It is, especially because Calgary was bad for a lot of those years. But still says something about the fact that they obviously have trouble playing in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm. But so, speaking of Calgary, let's talk about the Calgary-Vancouver first-round series. On paper, that was the upset. I think on paper, advanced stats-wise, that was definitely the upset. Did you guys have Calgary? Were you surprised? What do you think?
I had Vancouver winning in 7, so I was very surprised. I did not think Calgary was good enough. I mean, I think most of their season, they were playing past their advanced stats. I believe that's how it was.
Yeah, their advanced stats were literally take the advanced stats, throw them in a trash bin, and set the trash bin on fire.
Yeah, I was honestly thinking they were going to be like Colorado from last year in the playoffs. But apparently that's not the case, and they got past at least one round.
I'm not that surprised though, because Vancouver didn't have the greatest advanced stats either. And Calgary just seemed like they wanted it more. Vancouver seems like an old team. I know they have some young guys, but Vancouver still needs to retool some things. They had a good year, better than expected, but I wasn't really that surprised they won.
I was definitely surprised. I had Vancouver in the series. I thought Vancouver was actually not a great team, but a much improved team from last year. And I thought that insofar as experience and poise count in the playoffs, they had that. And it turned out that Calgary totally made them look like it was their first time in the playoffs in forever. You know, Bieksa didn't look good. Basically, the only people who looked poised and composed were the Sedins, who always looked poised. So I did not think it was Vancouver's best series. I almost wonder if they lost the series more than Calgary won it, given how many blown leads there were and come back.
Yeah, they
not that I don't love
lead in one game.
I mean, they had
you blow a 3-0 lead when you're about to face elimination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was not the first 3-goal lead they blew. I think they blew a 3-goal lead in the first game, too. Or maybe the second game. So at that point, you start to think about, like, what's going on with Vancouver as opposed to what do the Flames do right. Which is to say I don't like the Flames. I fucking love the Flames. I am so goddamn entertained, as I'm sure anyone who follows me on Twitter would notice.
I think it's just because of who is their own? Is not their owner. Their
the president of Hockey Ops is Brian Burke.
Yeah, that's why you like him, isn't it?
It is reason number one. Reason number two is I actually am very entertained by Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan. Their talent up front's really great.
They're youngins.
TJ Brody is a great defenseman. But yeah, Brian Burke is seriously amazing. When they scored, I think the tying goal against Vancouver in Game 6, Brian Burke did this awesome double fist pump, and it's my go-to move now. I want to make a gif of myself doing the Brian Burke double fist pump, but first I need to find a tie that I can tie around my head.
Are you gonna put that gif in the background of it?
I really should. That would be pretty incredible. And then we have the Anaheim-Calgary series. First game was played last night. Final score 6-1. Corey Perry scored twice.
By the way, he's been amazing these playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, everyone looked amazing against Winnipeg.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to be an amazing.
I don't know about that. They really only had one game that they dominated.
I also saw a tweet the other day as someone who said, I am sadly preparing myself for the reality that Corey Perry is going to win the Conn Smythe. And I think if you haven't begun to prepare yourself for that possibility, you should really think about it. Because if you're not emotionally prepared...
He's won an MVP. I mean, the guy is a fucking player.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But if you're not emotionally prepared for Corey Perry winning the Conn Smythe, and he does, that could set you back 2-3 weeks. So just start thinking about it now, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
For your own emotional welfare. But yeah, Corey Perry scored 2 goals. Perry and Getzlaf looked amazing. And
if he wins the Conn Smythe, that means the Ducks are probably going to win the Stanley Cup.
Although there is precedent for an Anaheim Ducks player winning the Conn Smythe and losing the cup.
The saddest picture ever.
I hurt myself in so many ways.
That's one of my favorite pictures ever.
I wonder why. Just like Sad Lundqvist is my favorite picture.
It's like that one and the Joe Thornton one last season. They're pretty much tied.
Oh my God, you're both terrible human beings.
That's also how I feel about the Thomas Vokoun gif of him looking up at the score as it changes.
Oh, so
That's
that
an
is a
amazing
good gif. That is a very good gif. Oh, Sad Joe Thornton is the worst. He's got like his sad, grizzly beard.
His eyes are like bloodshot.
Yeah, he looks like he's holding back tears.
And he wasn't doing a good job of holding it back.
Maybe if he held back more goals.
You cannot blame the collapse on Joe Thornton. You're literally Doug Wilson right now. And that is probably the highest insult I can give you since Randy Carlisle is unemployed.
Ouch.
Which, honestly, there was talks of him going to San Jose. Wouldn't that be perfect?
Oh my God, shoot me.
It's like the Sharks they just can't win, the Sharks fans.
The Kings broke the Kings, very seriously, did not beat a team. They broke an entire organization. Which is not something I have yet had the pleasure to do as a sports fan, and it's truly incredible. If we beat Minnesota for the 3rd time, I think we might break the Wild.
Nah. I think that they have a very good chance of winning.
Well, sure, but if we do win...
I mean, the Flyers tried to break the Bruins by reverse sweeping them. The Bruins came back and won the Cup the next year, so it didn't really work.
Who's the most unbreakable team you've ever seen?
The most unbreakable?
Like, I would say in sports, probably the Buffalo Bills of the early 90s are the most unbreakable team I've ever seen. You lose 4 Super Bowls in a row? Come on. How do you come back after the 3rd time and still be like, you know what, we got this?
That's a great question, actually. Tell us on Twitter what you think the most unbreakable team... Maybe the 90s Knicks.
I actually can't think of a team.
I don't know. Anyway, I just thought of that since you said that.
I'll tell you, in the NHL right now, the Kings sure do look unbreakable. Missing the playoffs and still, not making any panic decisions. They seem to have handled it very well, with the exception of that one arrest for cocaine.
I honestly, this is going to be probably a telling off-season for the Kings if they start to make moves to try to fix what happened.
It really doesn't seem like they are concerned. I think they kind of know.
I think, isn't there talks of Daryl Sutter leaving?
There's no way they fire Daryl Sutter.
They've already said that he and Dean Lombardi are safe.
Oh, okay, they did?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Okay, never mind then.
That would be amazing. I would... I mean, I can't fire my coach, but he would be an amazing pickup. He's the best.
I don't know why you would fire a coach that won 2 Stanley Cups within, 3 years after he misses the playoff once.
Well, some people said that the players are getting tired of him. But I don't know if there's any substantiated rumor to that other than that one locker room blow-up.
Yeah. On Twitter, I did ask who was your biggest surprise of the first round because we were talking about that. We got Cora saying the Jets were swept. That was her biggest surprise, and I think me and Ari did say that kind of surprised us a little bit too.
Also, I will say about the Jets, it turned out that everyone on their team was injured.
Yeah.
So going into the playoffs with those kinds of injuries is always a bad recipe.
And Axel, he said taking more than 5 games for Tampa to advance. Apparently that was a surprise to him.
Ask Axel how he felt about Finland today.
Oh, mean. Oh, man.
And still flying, she says the Flames surprised her for sure.
I'm sure we'll get over to the Tampa series in a minute, but I guess what are your guys' predictions for Anaheim, Calgary before we move on to the Chicago and Minnesota series?
Anaheim and Calgary. I'm thinking.
But we didn't really
Anaheim
talk about the St. Louis Blues series.
Yeah, we'll go to the St. Louis Minnesota series.
Yeah, we'll hop up there.
And then we'll go to the Chicago National series, and then we'll go to Minnesota.
We'll do division by division type thing.
We're moving to the Central Division next. So before we move to the Central Division, give me your Pacific predictions.
5 games for the Ducks.
5 games for the Ducks. Blinson?
Yeah, 6 games for the Ducks.
Ooh, that's bold.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with. If it's only 5 games, this is going to be the worst. Pacific Division is the worst. I hate you all.
I just wanted it to be fun. That's why I said 6.
Yeah, I'll go with 6 games, thinking that maybe they can get a crazy comeback in a game. Win a game, get a crazy comeback, and then lose the rest. That seems about right. All right, I'll go 6 games for Calgary. By the way, if you guys want to make
Calgary,
for Anaheim. 6 games for Calgary.
I thought you were about to be really bold.
Truculence forever.
Yeah.
What game won? I think someone at home should keep a scorecard. You should go back and listen to our preseason, or not our preseason, our pre-playoff predictions. We should make note of our predictions now. And at the end of the playoffs, you can tell us who was the most right.
Now, so I'm writing down what we're doing today. So someone else can do.
Whoever wins gets to, I don't know.
Gets to make fun of all the other 3.
I know. I was gonna try and come up with some kind of prize besides just glory, and I think glory is gonna have to be the prize.
I don't know what's something we can all do, because I know you have like 20 bets going.
I know, I have too many bets going.
I'm sorry that we couldn't repeat our bet from last year.
I'm not that sorry. That said, if the Caps go to the Stanley Cup Final against the Blackhawks, I want my coaster back.
Okay, deal.
So, moving on to the Central Division, a.k.a.
The Clusterfuck Division?
Yeah, seriously, fuck this division. The great thing about the Central Division is you'll see in threads on our hockey, every time something good happens to one team, fans of the other teams are all like, oh, fuck this division. And it just got to be us for a minute. The Blackhawks just signed, apparently, the Russian Patrick Kane. And everyone was like, fuck this division. And it's so satisfying when it's you. It's not that fun when it's like the Blues. But so, what's your take? Speaking of the Blues, what's your take on the Blues-Minnesota series?
Screw the Blues, because I picked them to win. Although I am happy for the Wild just because the state of Minnesota and blah, blah, blah. But now we get to watch the Blackhawks beat Minnesota for the 3rd straight year.
We're going for the 3-peat. If we do beat them, I am going to make a 3-peat shirt. And I may mail one to Dave.
You should. That would be hilarious.
Never let it be. And then Dave will probably film a video of him burning it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We will see a picture of. It'll just be a video of him just throwing it in a fire. It'll be beautiful.
Well, as far as that series goes, it just felt like there was a lack of effort half the time from the Blues. Mm-hmm. And the Wild shut down the neutral zone most games. So, aside from the Tarasenko hat trick, there really wasn't that dynamic of an offense. I mean, he had 3 more goals, I think, too. But where else was the rest of the help? I mean, the goaltending wasn't spectacular either way, really.
Yeah, it really was not.
It just seems so lackluster on offense. Kevin Shattenkirk did his part for them. But when your defenseman leads you in assists, and I think points too, it's like some of your forwards need to step it up there, especially in a series that goes that long.
Yeah, Shattenkirk has 8 points, and he led it. The entire series he led, so.
I mean, there was a lot of talk about the Blues needing the kind of game-breaking offense that, the guy who will score. But I think almost that what the Blues need is more. I'm not a big believer in narratives of clutch or narratives of, like, the player. But maybe what the Blues need more is secondary scoring.
I think they have a really good all-around team. It's just I personally don't believe they have a strong enough team for the playoffs.
Also, some of this is just bad luck. To be as good as the Blues have been the past 3 years, and never make it past the first round. Past 4 years.
In 2012.
Where they got swept.
Oh, that's right. I've erased everything about 2012 playoffs from my memory.
They didn't really play in the second round, so they probably don't remember they were in the second round.
Yeah.
Oh, shots fired. Some of this is just really bad luck on the part of the Blues, much in the same way that it's been some bad luck on the part of the Sharks. But I'm not that sad to see their demise. I did choose them to beat the Wild, but once the series got started, I think it was pretty clear that Minnesota was playing the better game, at least in the context of the playoffs. Maybe not the better team, but was playing the better game.
Do you guys think the Blues losing this series will get Ken Hitchcock fired? Do you think he's out from behind the bench now because of how the team has fared in the playoffs the past few years with him?
I don't know yet, honestly. I think that they're going to take a look at that, and they'll make a decision before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
By all media accounts, I suspect he is gone. I don't think that's the right decision. I mean, there is some talk that the players are done with him, in which case you have to do what you have to do. But he's a great coach. I doubt that Ken Hitchcock is the problem.
Yeah, I just think that his voice, he's one of those yelling coaches, I think. So they probably stop listening to him after a certain point. So.
Regardless if he's yelling or not, their leader is David Backes. He and TJ Oshie both had 2 points.
Sounds like TJ Oshie is probably
1 goal, 1 assist each. You need your leaders to step up, and they didn't do it.
Have they released any injury reports yet? I just wonder who's all hurt for them.
I don't know.
Did I get dropped?
No, you're here.
Oh, there, you're back.
I don't know if I've seen any injury reports from the Blues, Dave.
Doesn't seem to be anything on their NHL site, so I'm not sure if they have released anything yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they had it on Tuesday, so they had their clean out on Tuesday, it looks like. So I guess they don't have any injuries to talk about, so it's not like they can blame injuries for their players not playing well.
I was watching.
Go ahead.
I mean, we might talk about this a little later, but I was watching the Sweden versus Czech Republic game today, and they were talking about Vladimir Sobotka and how much the St. Louis Blues probably missed him this season, and how they couldn't work out a deal, and he went back to the KHL and blah blah blah.
Do they still have his rights?
Probably, if he comes back, I would imagine.
They talked about trying to get him back for this season, I believe.
Yeah, they were trying to get him back. They just couldn't agree with him on a contract. So they're probably going to try again this summer if they know what they're doing.
I think I heard that they are trying right now. I don't know that for sure, but he was a very good player. It was pretty strange that he left.
I mean, he definitely helped with their secondary scoring. Actually, no. He only had 9 goals last season.
He also helped with fighting Matt Duchene, which is a part of the Blues game that has really been missing this season. But so, as a takeaway from the Blues series, they need to blow it up. Is the takeaway from the Blues series, if they just need a new coach? Is the takeaway from the Blues series, they're just unlucky? What do you think? All three?
You don't need to blow that up, in my opinion.
They have too good of a team to want to blow up.
Yeah.
They are probably a few depth pieces away from doing something in the playoffs.
You might need to trade Oshie.
They have a great defensive core there. They have fairly decent front line players. They just don't have the depth to support everything.
They did get basically defensively outplayed by the Wild in most games.
But the Wild are also a very good defensive team.
I mean, they're good, yeah. But I don't know. I think we kind of are at the point where we have to start asking questions about what we've assumed about the Blues all along. You know?
Yeah.
We say they're a very good defensive team, but their goaltenders perform very consistently in the playoffs. Is that because they've been unlucky, or is it because we're not seeing something about their defense?
Well, what do you think the Wild did right in this. Because, I mean, we can talk about what went wrong with the Blues, but obviously they didn't win, and the Wild did. So, what do you think was the difference for them?
I thought their line matching on forwards was very effective. I think Mike Yeo coached a great series. Defense looked good. They managed to also not kill Ryan Suter during the series, which is awesome.
Did he play his normal 40 minutes a game?
I think he was only playing like half an hour a game, which is very reasonable for Ryan Suter.
That's actually about what he gets in the regular season. So.
Yeah.
How does he not get so tired out? It just surprised me how he's not that tired out after that much.
He only had 26 minutes per game.
Oh, it's actually down for him. Wow.
Yeah.
That only is very...
I think it's obviously got to be partly conditioning, but also having played defense, I can tell you it's definitely not as exhausting as forward. And some guys, Doughty was one of the top guys in the league in minutes too this year, and he said that it wasn't that he was getting tired, it's just that he wanted to be out there as often as possible. Mm-hmm. So,
if he can do it, then more power to him. Keep putting him out there if he keeps doing good. Why would you keep your star #1 defenseman off the ice?
His teammates always attribute how many minutes he can play to his very efficient skating style. But today, in the Star Tribune, which is Minnesota's paper of record, Ryan Suter attributed his own success to drinking whole milk.
Blake would be so proud.
I'm sure Blake does not want to hear it right now.
Maybe if the Blues drank milk.
Yeah, Blake, you should probably ask the Blues, do they like milk? And if their answer is no, you know what's wrong with your team. So, there's my formal suggestion for the St. Louis Blues. Hire me as coach.
Ryan Suter, it was only 11th most in time during the playoffs.
Yeah, they've limited him very well. I think Duncan Keith played more minutes.
Yeah, Duncan Keith is #1 at 32:03.
Yeah, because our defense...
Well, okay, let's be honest. He played 40-plus minutes in one game, so that's a little bit skewed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That is true.
Speaking of that game and that series, Chicago wins in 6 games. However, they basically played 7 games.
They played almost 8 games, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that even though they got an extra day off, that it's really going to matter after all the time they just played against Nashville?
I don't think so.
I mean,
that series was obviously tight, but it felt like, at least from an outside of... I know they're your team, and you can tell me how you feel that Chicago played, but I kind of felt like Chicago dictated the play most games.
No, I think there's some bias here in terms of I always feel like games are closer than when they're my team. There were definitely games where Chicago totally dictated the play. The last game was just really not ever that close in terms of the play on the ice. But then there was also games like Game 2 where we just played like absolute garbage the whole game. Game 5, we looked terrible. Game 4 was pretty close. I actually think that it was probably a closer series than most people think. And if I'm worried about fatigue at all, the fatigue I'm more worried about is the fatigue of having gone deep in the playoffs every year since 2012. Cup final in 2013, Western Conference final in 2014, plus we had the most players of any team go to the Olympics. So another short off season, and now we've got a long season this year, plus we had the most players actually play during the All-Star break. So, that kind of fatigue isn't great for a team. I think that we're pretty motivated, but it does accumulate.
Doesn't the World Cup start this year, so a lot of your players could be going to the World Cup?
I doubt any of them give a single fuck.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm
wondering if the NHL is going to put pressure on teams to force their guys to play in that when guys really don't want to. Guys obviously opt out of the World Championship every year, but this is the NHL's baby, and I wonder how much they're going to make players
go
incentivized to play, whether it's with money or with other things. So
the player I'm worried about is Marian Hossa. because Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews are young. They both are definitely going to want.
Basically.
Yeah, and Duncan Keith plays a million minutes anyways. What's another couple of games? But Marian Hossa is old, and he's not fragile, but he's a guy who's going to be a target if you're playing Slovakia. He's going to take a lot of abuse. I'm worried about Marian Hossa going.
I'm just really worried about how late in the off season it is. I think it's in August? Or does it start next year? I think it starts next year, actually.
Well, I'm still worried about Marian Hossa.
That's fine.
But still, if it's supposed to, I think, be starting in August, right when players are starting to really to get into game shape, and thus then they're just going to be thrown right into, games with this. And while they're not 100% ready, so to get 100% ready, they're going to start getting ready earlier, having a shorter off season, and leading to a lot more injuries as the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this.
I'm really worried. Yeah, we did talk about this, so.
I hate the idea of the World Cup. I hate everything the NHL does these days. But back to the Chicago-Nashville series. It's very close. I do want to commend Nashville. I don't know if we have any listeners who are Nashville fans. I thought they played a really good series. I love their team. I think we saw a lot of growth during the series. I think Seth Jones went from being a little shaky in the beginning to being one of Nashville's most valuable players by the end. Roman Josi took a huge step forward this season. I look forward to three-peating against Nashville in the future.
I don't know how much that series would have been different if Shea Weber had stayed in and not gotten hurt.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate also. Shea Weber
that was obviously a
dislocated
huge
his knee.
deal.
Yeah. On a hit that looked, if that had been a more obviously bad hit, I would have felt really bad about it. But I guess it was just it wasn't even a hit, really. It was very strange.
He dislocated his kneecap, and I've done that myself multiple times. And sometimes it's just a weird... I remember one time... the first time I did it was horrible. And everything got ruined in my knee, so from there on out it was obviously weaker. But the second time I popped my knee out of place, I was rock climbing, and I hopped off a rock that was literally a foot off the ground. It wasn't even anything big.
That sounds embarrassing.
Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. You just never know. I mean, the ground wasn't even or anything, so maybe that played into it, but it's just sometimes those little tiny things can just screw with something, especially if there may have already been an injury of some kind in the past.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, I wonder if he's ever heard it before. But I don't know. So now we have Minnesota versus Chicago for the third time in 3 years. And Chicago won in 5 2 years ago. They won in 6 in the second round last year. The logical pick is for Chicago to win in 7 this year. But this is definitely a much better Minnesota team than the last two teams we saw. What do you guys think about the series?
I am thinking 6 games to Chicago. Chicago winning it all.
I'm going 7. I think that Minnesota is a better team, and I don't necessarily think that Chicago is a better team than last year.
I was going to say, do you think Minnesota is a better team than last year, or Minnesota is a better team than Chicago?
I think that Chicago's worse than last year, and Minnesota's better, but I still think Chicago's a better team. So take that for what you will. But
you have Chicago winning, though, in 7 games.
Yeah, in 7. So I think it's going to be a better series. When it's this close, I feel like you have to take the better overall team. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever pick teams based on my heart. So simply because I guess I'm not emotional enough to do that, and I feel like you need to be logical about these kinds of things and realize that as much as you really wish that a team showed enough emotion to get over certain things, maybe they can do that in a game. It's like when the U.S. beat Russia and they were like, this team might beat you 99 out of 100 teams, but not tonight. Well, yeah, you can get through one game based on emotion, but you can't get through a whole series. And I feel like Minnesota has the heart, but they don't have the talent.
I will say, on the note of picking teams based on emotions, El Rizzi picked his playoff brackets based on what will cause him the most pain, and he had a perfect first round.
I thought there was no perfect first rounds left, though.
Or like he had all the. I don't think he had all the.
Oh, he went 8
games,
for 8.
but
Yeah, he
had,
didn't have all the games correctly.
Yeah, but he had all the series correct.
That's
so
funny.
maybe you should pick based on your heart. I think this is a very interesting series. Last year we played absolutely terrible hockey against Minnesota. The series was Corey Crawford 100%. This year, we don't really know what Corey Crawford's going to play like.
He's gonna play at all.
He is going to play. He's starting game 1. I think he looked great in game 6. I think that
because he has a new hat too.
Yeah.
New hat properties.
That's fucking ridiculous. Corey Crawford has a new helmet for the second round. It is a war bonnet. It has the feather headdress painted on it. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. It is extremely racist. It is cultural appropriation to the max, and the organization should be ashamed of itself. And even if it wasn't 100% cultural appropriation of a religious symbol, Black Hawk was not from the kind of Native Americans that wear war bonnets. It's just 100% inaccurate. And it's making, our defense of using the Indian head logo has been, we are honoring someone. We are not making not making an ethnicity a mascot. And if we are honoring someone and not being racist by making an ethnicity a mascot, then we should be ashamed of ourselves. And if we are making an ethnicity a mascot, the whole organization is racist, and we are as bad as Snyder and the Redskins, and we need to start all over again with the logo. So those are my thoughts on Corey Crawford's new helmet. I understand that people think it looks great. It does look great. It's also racist. Back to the series. We don't know how Corey Crawford's going to play. Minnesota's defense is miles and miles ahead of ours. I still think we have the offensive edge. I don't want to say this is a series decided by goaltending. On paper, it shouldn't be, but it could very well be this is a series decided by goaltending.
I think it's going to come down to goaltending, definitely. And I'm still not 100% convinced on Devin Dubnyk. So I'm definitely going with Chicago winning this series.
Well, you definitely shouldn't be 100% convinced on Devin Dubnyk because he's like mediocre at best.
Yeah.
And he was mediocre in the Blues series. So I think this may be the best series of the second round.
So who do you have on winning, and how many? Well, I mean, how many games do you have winning? Obviously, I know who you're gonna have win.
Yeah, I've got the Blackhawks winning. I feel like 6 games should do it. 6 games we play well.
Are me and you just gonna agree on every single games?
I'm sure we will disagree somewhere down the line.
I mean, there's only 2 left, so.
That's true. I'm sure we will disagree. We've already disagreed on whether or not we like the Caps, so.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm in the Eastern Conference, so it's kind of harder for me to like them.
That's true. I also live in Washington, so it's really easy for me to like them. Mm-hmm. But I had Blackhawks Anaheim in my bracket, so if we get to Blackhawks Anaheim, I'll be pretty excited.
That's what I have too.
High five!
Yeah.
Nice.
You guys are dorks.
You love us and you know it.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Are you telling me that listening to me high-five myself was not riveting audio?
I'm sure somebody was thrilled.
I was thrilled, don't worry.
Right now,
so we're all picking the Blackhawks. It's just I have them in 7, you guys have them in 6.
I feel like I should have picked them in 5, so we could have had like the 7-6-5.
Well, we kind of did the same thing for Anaheim and Calgary. Me and Ari said 6 for Ducks, and you said 5 for Ducks.
That's true.
We understand. We agree on the who. We just don't agree on the when.
I honestly think the Ducks might sweep this series too. There's no way that I could give them 2 sweeps in a row. Like I just couldn't do it after looking into it. Actually, some other interesting stuff. If you guys want to check that article out later, you probably don't because it's actually not my best article. But I did it because one of my friends who's a Ducks season ticket holder asked me to look into it. There's been 53 total sweeps since the 4-series best of 7 has started in 1987. The current playoff format. 53 teams have swept a series. Only 27 of those went on to win the next series. And in the first round, the odds are actually less than 50%. I think only a third of the teams, it was, I think 34% went on to win the next round. If you sweep in the second round, though, you're doing well. And the majority of the teams that swept in the second round went on to the championship or won the championship.
It's going to be so boring if they sweep. That'll be so disappointing.
Hmm.
It
God,
would
it
be.
must suck to have a really boring Pacific Conference without the Kings in the playoffs. Ugh.
Yeah, it's still better than the
No.
Kings in the playoffs.
I think I wanted the Sharks just so I can see. The Sharks are always interesting in the playoffs because you don't know how they're gonna mess it up this time. That is what I look forward to every off season, every playoffs. I mean,
How the Sharks are going to screw it up.
yeah.
Well, now you can look forward to how the Ducks are and how the Blues are going to screw it up every year. Something new and exciting.
So I
Well-
guess head over to the Eastern Conference now.
Eastern Conference.
Starting off with the Atlantic, we'll talk about Montreal and Ottawa. I had this series going to 7 games, with Montreal winning. What did you guys have it as?
I'll have to check. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I actually don't know off the top of my head.
I know I
Ottawa-
picked Montreal. I picked
Yeah, I picked
Montreal in
Montreal
6
too.
games. Boom! Perfect. Sweet.
It's too bad that Game 6 went the way it did. You know, if they were a quick whistle away from having a tie game, that would have been fun to have a Game 7.
Hmm.
It's retribution for the fact that the Kings got screwed over in the Ottawa game earlier this year.
That's definitely what it was.
Yep. Karma, bitches.
It took a while, but it finally hit you.
Finally came back.
This is just evidence that the refs are all in the Kings' pocket.
In the Kings pie? What are you talking about? We would have tied that game up instead of Hammond shutting us out. I was at that game.
That would have gotten you guys. To
I was
the
at that
playoffs.
game sitting behind the goal, and it was like so obviously not under him. And then, anyway, no need to get off on that tangent. But you won.
I also had 6 games, as it turned out.
I did not.
Nailed it.
I thought I just thought the whole Canadian thing would have got him to go to 7 games, and it almost did.
Hold on, wait. Dave just
Right,
did
right, right.
the high five, so I have to high five too. Nice.
All right, cool.
Nice. I actually did, after the Blackhawks won, I did have a moment in my room by myself where I was high-fiving a million angels.
What, you just run around with your hand in the air?
Yeah, I literally sitting on my ass, waving my hands in the air, high-fiving a million angels.
Are you Liz Lemon?
I felt for a moment like Liz Lemon. I want to be embarrassed about it, but it still fills me with this glow of pleasure to remember that game, so I'm not embarrassed at all. High-fiving a million angels, it's fine. And then I use that GIF in the Blackhawks have won the first round thread, and people are like, haha, yeah, and I was like, no, you don't know. That's literally what I was doing right now. Anyways, Montreal, Ottawa. Ottawa sure made a series out of it. Should have gone to 7 games. Not surprised they lost.
I think
I'm not surprised
even
they lost.
besides, yeah, I'm not surprised they lost, but even besides that goal that should have been a goal, I think that they got to be kicking themselves for letting Game 1 get away when they had a lead and they scored 3 goals on Carey Price, and then they ended up losing 4-3, I think.
Yeah.
That game, if they had stolen that game, it would have been a whole different series, and I think that they could have gotten out of that round. But that's inexperience, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, they are.
Especially
Are they?
because wasn't Max Pacioretty out in Game 1 too?
He was. Yeah, he was.
So you scored 3 on Carey Price and their best scorers out, and you didn't win that game. Come on, you got to do those kinds of things.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that Hamburg was as good as he was during the playoffs. I thought he would have failed miserably.
Well,
He
they
did fail
stopped playing
miserably.
him. Yeah.
That's why
They
Craig Anderson had to come in.
They played
he did
Craig
come in,
Anderson.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Craig Anderson played like the last 3 games?
I think 2.5.
Was it 2.5?
I know he started the last 2. He started the last 2. So
I'm happy he failed, as horrible as that makes me sound.
I'm happy he failed too. He was a fraud.
He was. I say this all the time, but I watched us score 3 goals in 26 seconds on him. He was no, 21 seconds. He was a complete fraud.
Anyway, moving on to Tampa Bay and Detroit.
Yes. That was so. Tampa Bay was heavily favored in that series. Detroit played. I want to say Detroit played a great series, but the reality was they really still only kind of played an okay series. Tampa Bay just played.
Peter Mrazek played a great series.
Yeah, Peter Mrazek played a great series. But like that game one where Detroit had like what 9 shots on goal.
Yeah,
and they still won.
Yeah, it was just stupid.
It was just about a matter of time before Tampa Bay took over. My big surprise about the series is Steven Stamkos not scoring a single goal.
A lot of people think he's hurt.
I don't think he's hurt.
I'm waiting for the inevitable him breaking out. Because he's going to start scoring, even if he is hurt, he's going to start scoring next round. And I'm not sure how Montreal is going to deal with it.
If he is hurt, he won't necessarily start scoring. I doubt he's hurt. I don't have a great eye for that kind of thing, and I don't love to speculate about it. But they didn't rest him at all at the end of the season, and I feel like they would have if he had been hurt. You know, he could have gotten hurt in the course of the series. That's definitely possible. He looks very frustrated. They had a terrible power play during the series. They're not playing Jonathan Drouin, who often plays on their first power play and has set up like more than half of his power play goals. So I think that some of it's coaching. I think some of it's Detroit tried to shut him down and succeeded. And some of it's just bad luck. But if Tampa Bay gets eliminated and Steven Stamkos doesn't score a goal, we have a new Joe Thornton narrative on our hands, and I am so excited. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, but someone's got to be that guy.
And you're making the Steven Stamkos.
And it may be Steven Stamkos. I was, actually, to be honest, I was a little disappointed that Detroit lost Game 7. I thought that it would have been kind of fun to see them move on. And also, it would have been kind of fun to see how mad Tampa fans would be to lose in the first round.
I am so glad Detroit lost.
I had Tampa winning, so I'm happy.
It's not only for that reason. It's because I really want to see Mike Babcock go somewhere else.
I hope he stays, actually.
I have rooting interest in him leaving, so.
I hope he stays for 2 reasons.
Why is that, Dave?
Because fuck Craig Berube.
He's not going to the Flyers. That's just not happening.
He might, and that's what's keeping me awake letting me sleep at night.
You can't offer sheet a coach, Dave.
We don't need to.
Don't know that
He's
yet.
leaving.
Out of nowhere, Holmgren appears. Here is Shea Weber's offer sheet.
You don't know how we work. We could do it.
That's true. No one knows how you work.
Come on.
Truer words never
You
spoken.
could offer sheet a coach. The Flyers would know how.
It's like the old commercial. You can't download a car. Fuck you. I would if I could.
You just see Peter Chiarelli walking up to Babcock with a contract, and Ron Hextall comes in with his stick and just chops him at the knees.
It's going to be like when Brendan Shanahan flying tackled Patrick Waugh.
Or Ron Hextall flying tackled Chris Chelios.
Yeah.
Oh.
Literally, it's going to be Ron Hextall flying tackle someone. I don't know who yet, but someone. There was a report that said that if he leaves Detroit, he's going to most likely to go to Edmonton, and I think that's some fucking bullshit. Edmonton is not allowed to get Connor McDavid and then get Mike Babcock.
I don't think he said he doesn't want a big challenge, and even with McDavid, they would still be a big challenge.
He did say he likes winning, and that is a point against Edmonton.
Yeah. I mean, it would be amazing for them to get them, because first off, he's not in my conference, but I don't think he would ever go there because he doesn't want a challenge. And Edmonton, even with McDavid, is still a massive, massive challenge.
I do hope he stays in Detroit because Detroit is, as much as I may hate them, Detroit is more fun to watch with Mike Babcock. Mm-hmm. You know, without Mike Babcock, I don't know what their talent really looks like. You know, without Mike Babcock, I don't really know the identity of that team. He's such an integral part of the Red Wings that I remember. The Nick Lidstrom Red Wings.
Mm-hmm. Do you mean Dave Lewis didn't, tug at your heartstrings?
Not the same way. I did just find out that Mike Babcock and Jonathan Toews have the same birthday. which does explain why Mike Babcock thinks Jonathan Toews is the best thing to ever happen.
I mean, it's not like the Red Wings don't have a great coach down in the AHL who they would bring up.
Yeah, that's true.
Their AHL coach is great at developing the talent they have down there. So he could hopefully come up and hopefully make the transition to NHL. Which is why I think that they refuse to let any teams talk to him, because they want him in their back pocket.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be the only non-Detroit Red Wings fan who does hope that Mike Babcock stays in Detroit.
I mean, we have to wait till June 30th anyway, which is the last day of his contract. So it's not like we can really do much else but speculate.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of the speculation, as logically sound as it may be, his decision depends a lot on his family.
Yeah.
And so we can come up with reasons for days, but Mrs. Babcock will have a reason, and she will articulate it.
Yeah. But it seems like the three big teams are actually Philadelphia, Toronto, and Edmonton.
All of which are terrible options.
Hey, we're getting better.
What if St. Louis opened up?
Oh, shoot me.
I think he has a viable chance of going there. They're not a huge, challenge for him. They're a few pieces away.
He said he wants to win. Does he think St. Louis is a better opportunity to win right now?
I think he would.
I mean, he could go to San Jose. Hey.
He could. But they already have Randy Carlyle coming in, don't they?
We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
And why would he want to go to a place where Doug Wilson is his boss?
That's a great question.
I mean, he did actually bring up that he wanted more say in their personnel, their player personnel. So.
No, I think that was speculated, and he denied it.
Oh, did he deny that?
Yeah, I don't think he's. The speculation has long been that he wants that say, and he said he doesn't have the skill set to be a GM. He doesn't want that.
Okay. But I think if it were the case, though, the best place probably would be Toronto, because they don't have a head coach and they don't have a GM.
Megan says she loves me right now, presumably on the basis that I'm defending Mike Babcock staying in Detroit. Now that you've said that Mike Babcock could go to St. Louis, I'm really adamant that Mike Babcock should stay at Detroit.
Since when are you not her favorite on this show to begin with?
She likes all of you. I'm sure.
I feel like you're her favorite, though.
I mean, I hope I am.
Yeah.
Megan's the best.
Megan is pretty cool.
She is pretty cool.
Yeah. And she is really
She does need to branch out from wine, because there's so many better drinks than wine.
Like the beer.
Whoa, those are fighting words.
I know they are.
Beer is better.
No.
That's untrue.
I don't know.
Wine,
but beer does have more variety.
No, there are so many varieties of wine.
Yeah, there's red and white.
No, Dave.
Oh my god.
But there's more variety of beer than there is of wine. I'm not saying there's not variety in wine. I'm just saying that there's more variety in beer.
I don't know about that. I don't really like beer, so I can't comment.
For all people watching Tampa Bay Montreal, I have a spoiler alert. Tampa Bay just scored.
Thank God. Oh, it's Johnson again.
On the power play.
Dude is ridiculous.
Undrafted.
Yeah, it's amazing how
obviously the best American player in the league.
Oh, shut your face. But I will agree he's better than Jonathan Quick. Yeah,
Jonathan Quick doesn't score any goals. Yes.
I will agree. Well, he scores goals on his own team. I will agree he's better than Trevor Lewis, who missed 2 empty nets today.
Hey, that's just the Kings' MO right there. We've done that all season. Where do you think he learned it from?
I didn't actually watch any of those games because I was at work, but we'll get around to them. Have we got anything else on Detroit-Tampa besides Tyler Johnson's the fucking man? Also, Victor Hedman is amazing.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
yeah.
We didn't say Cronwall got suspended the last game.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about the Cronwall suspension?
I actually never saw the hit, so I can't.
I can't believe he got suspended, but Palat didn't get anything. I don't
know. I
guess it's a reputation suspension, but I thought it was kind of bullshit that happened the way that it did, with one getting suspended and the other getting nothing. Like, if they'd both been fined, or if even Palat's been fined, I would have been okay with it. I didn't mind the 1-game suspension. I just thought it was bullshit that Palat got nothing.
I think they both should have gotten a game. I think you're right.
Me too.
Yeah. And I actually don't think Cronwell's that good. His stats are garbage.
Big hitter.
But
his hits are massive, though.
I do think it impacts your team when you lose a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, here's the thing with Cronwell. In my opinion, he is not the best number one defenseman in the league by a mile, but at the same time, I don't think he's bad. I think he's just not in the right role. I think that if they had a pure number one defenseman and he could be on your second defensive pairing, he would be a great top four guy on any team. It's just that he has to play so many minutes against opposition that he probably shouldn't because they need somebody that's better than him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's overused. I think that he is outplayed. And I also think that he's just worse this year than he has been previous years. I think maybe I think it's catching up to him a little.
Mm.
But
well, evidently he was hurt too because his brother's playing for Sweden, and they originally invited him to go, but they're saying that he has some injury. So.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah, he did look like garbage.
Well, that's what they said today during the Sweden game. So
that gives us Tampa Bay, Montreal, a rematch of last year's first round. Obviously, both goalies are healthy this time. Who do you have, Tampa Bay and Montreal? Obviously, the first game is going on right now.
Well, I'd already picked Tampa Bay. I'm picking them in 6. They swept the season series, and they scored over 4 goals a game in the 5 games they played against Montreal this season. Montreal took one of those 5 games to overtime, but the rest were all pretty much blowouts. I think that they scored 21 or 22 goals this season in 5 games against Montreal. Obviously, Tampa Bay plays against them well, and I don't know. There was a lot of reasons why they got swept last season, but I think that they're a better team this season, and I think that Montreal, outside of Carey Price and PK Subban, and even Max Pacioretty, but I don't know how 100% he is, I don't really like the rest of their team. So if Stamkos is healthy and just on a cold streak and snaps out of it, I think Tampa Bay is going to win this easily. If not, it'll drag on.
I'm also going with Tampa Bay in 6. With the difference between the two teams last year was Ben Bishop not playing. He's playing this year, so I think that they can pull it out.
He had a ridiculous save earlier tonight on a 2-on-1.
Yeah, I saw that. It was great.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay didn't play their best first round ever. I don't think they played to their potential in the first round. They're being outshot right now by Montreal, which is never ideal since Montreal is not a very good possession team. They are still winning, but they're going to need to outpossess Montreal to win this series. I think that's just kind of the facts of life. So I'll take Tampa in 6 too. I think I have Tampa winning in my bracket, but I haven't been very impressed by Tampa, with the exception of Johnson and Hedman. I haven't been overly. Oh, I'm not there yet.
No, yeah, he is on the ice.
I haven't been that impressed with them yet either.
I haven't been that impressed with John Cooper, to be honest.
Well, I was dude, fucking great minds. I was going to say, Michel Therrien outcoached him last season badly. And I think that the fact that he beat Mike Babcock has obviously got to boost his confidence as a coach, but I also wonder if maybe he is getting better as a coach. We all know the story that he's won at every level, blah, blah, blah. He obviously relates to players well, and people like playing for him, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's always the greatest strategist. And I'm wondering if he's getting better in that department. If he isn't, then Michel Therrien might once again outcoach him.
And he beat Mike Babcock, but I think that Tampa Bay beat Detroit, not John Cooper beat Mike Babcock. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
It does, but I felt like when you watch that series, I don't know. I felt like John Cooper was more confident this year in the playoffs than he was against Michel Therrien last season. I felt like once Bishop went down, he didn't know what the fuck to do.
I mean, it's because Lindbach was in.
Yeah, but Lindbach wasn't horrible in that series. He just wasn't great. Like, you can't expect your backup to win you a series. But it's like he just like it almost felt like he was defeated before that series even started.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I don't feel like he's that way. I feel like he's a more confident coach.
It may be true.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to judge confidence for coaches than it is for players. I also would say that judging how coaches develop and grow is a weakness in my understanding of hockey. So it'll be interesting to watch for sure how the coaching plays out.
Have you ever coached anything?
Yeah, not a team sport. I've coached debate, quiz bowl, and alpine skiing.
Nice.
One of these things is not like the other.
I know. I had a very diverse list of interests in high school and college. Oh, and I coached Model UN.
Oh, yeah.
I was a great Model UN coach. I was the Mike
You
Babcock.
taught countries how to be countries?
Actually, so the kind of Model UN I coached is called a crisis committee. And the idea of a crisis committee is that you're an individual, so like you're Hillary Clinton on Barack Obama's 2008 cabinet. And basically what I taught is how to stab people in the back. And how to be absolutely vicious. So maybe I would be a good hockey coach in that sense. But I did some pretty crazy shit in Model UN, actually. We should someday I have stories for everyone.
Yeah,
But
the closest I came to coaching was being the fake president of a club in high school.
how can you be the fake president?
Well, the real president never showed up, so I just took charge.
Nice.
So you had a coup d'etat in a high school club.
Basically. I mean, it's not like I
Incredible.
was really taking charge. It was more of me pretending to be in charge while the junior, who wasn't allowed to be president, was actually saying what to do. So that's really what happened.
I coached high school soccer for a while, for one season, for my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting being a coach, because you have so many personalities to deal with. And like, it's not like that's abnormal outside of like a workplace or something,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to get all those personalities to work together. And it's
it's
amazing.
a completely different look on the field, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you might get them all to like each other, like John Cooper does, but getting them all to work together, right, that's completely different.
Especially putting them in the right spots to make them work together right.
Yeah. I'm wondering how this Druin thing is going to play out. I'm not sure why he's not playing. Like, was he that bad?
He's been like
I know he's
bounced
still
around
young.
a lot.
I know he's still young, and I never want to rush development on anybody.
Mhm.
But
I know.
man,
Whenever we played Tampa, I was always creating the game threads for them for some reason, and he was bounced around the lineup a lot. Sometimes on the first line, sometimes on the second. Then he would bounce around third or fourth or scratch. He didn't really have a set place in the lineup, it seemed.
Yeah, he at the beginning of the season he was not good, and he has never been spectacular. And he's had games that were spectacular. He hasn't been consistently spectacular. But I think in the playoffs to not play your best players is ridiculous. I think it's a big mistake. I
I
think
think that's the reason Stamkos isn't scoring, because he's not on the ice.
I don't think that's the reason, but I think it would help Stamkos score if he was.
Mm.
I don't think you can place all that blame on anything, actually.
Yeah.
well, moving on to the Metropolitan Division,
Mm-hmm.
the Rangers kicked the Penguins' ass.
Yes.
I disagree
Yes.
entirely.
Okay, well, they won in 5 games.
Yeah, but it was
So-
a 2-1 game every game.
Just because it's a 2-1 game doesn't mean that the Rangers did not beat the Penguins.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on this one. I don't think the Penguins. I felt like the Rangers didn't play up to their potential, but I also felt like they almost like acted like they didn't need to. They're like, oh, we got the lead, cool.
I thought, given Pittsburgh's injuries and given how Pittsburgh played the second half of the season, I thought Pittsburgh greatly outperformed my expectations.
Well, before mine, I had them being swept, so.
Of course, you had them being swept. I thought that there were games where they really looked like, I hate to say this, but their give a fuck meter was like really high. The last game went to overtime. There were some great scoring chances for the Penguins in the third period and in overtime. I thought there were a couple of chances where the bounces just didn't go the right way. I think it easily could have gone to 6 or even 7 games. The Rangers were, don't get me wrong, the better team. and I thought that was obvious, but I thought that Pittsburgh acquitted itself well, given everything.
I thought Marc-Andre Fleury played well.
He did.
Yeah, for the second year in a row, he was not the reason that they lost.
And the game that they won, Sidney Crosby took over. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that every single game.
Yeah.
So...
Where was Evgeny?
I was just... Yeah. Where was Evgeny Malkin? That's the question a lot of Penguin fans are asking themselves.
It seems like every single year since they won the Cup, he hasn't really showed up in the playoffs.
And Malkin is playing for Russia. So he's not hurt in theory. Well, I think they said he is hurt, but he's not hurt enough that he's not going to play for Russia. I'm pretty sure they said he is hurt.
But if he's hurt enough, if he can play, then he should have played up to his potential. I mean, he's one of the top players in the league. He shouldn't be. How many goals did he score this season? I have to look that up.
This season overall?
Series.
I don't think he had any. He may have had one.
Let me look it
up. The Penguins did also have. Obviously, they had a bunch of players out with injuries before the series. Ehrhoff, Letang, Dupuis's been out all season. They also had players who were injured during the series. Patrick Hornqvist had a broken rib. Someone else was injured too.
Malkin had 0 points.
That's not what you expect from your second center, basically first line player.
I mean, one of the 5 best players in the world.
Yeah, you can't just he has as many points as Steve Downey.
Oof.
I mean, actually, Steve Downey was a +1, even though a ± is terrible. Steve Downey was a +1, while Evgeny Malkin was a -1.
Okay, yeah, that's...
Still, I know, but still. He only had 11 shots.
Steve Downey scored 2 points. Steve Downey outscored him.
Yeah, he did have 2 points. I was just looking at goals.
Yeah.
You can't have that from the top players. He only had 11 shots on net, which actually doesn't seem like that. He seems about the right amount for the 5 games, I guess.
No. Sorry. I think you need more than that.
How many shots did we say he had?
11.
I mean, that's only 2 shots a game. I mean, I guess that's not terrible, but...
Crosby had
You want a guy like that to be shooting, getting 3 or 4 shots on goal.
Trying to get as many, yeah.
Alex Ovechkin had 6 last night.
He had more in one game than Malkin. Never mind, that was wrong. But the most they had on their team was Patrick Hornqvist getting 17 shots, which he only had 3 points.
And like I just said, he had a broken rib.
Yeah.
Broken rib dude outplayed the rest of the team. Except for Marc-Andre Fleury.
Do you think this is kind of like the end of the big era for the Penguins?
The big era is long since ended.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're on their way out now. That makes me so happy.
That's why some people feel Evgeny Malkin's going to be gone, that they're going to trade him for some other things.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that. And if they do, I think it's a mistake.
I do too.
It is a mistake. You don't want. They have such a when Malkin is on, it is such an amazing 1-2 punch they have. As terrible as this is for me to say, they have a good top team. It's just they don't have the depth when their players aren't scoring. That's their biggest problem. Their depth is lacking. And I know they brought Jim Rutherford in to try to fix that, and all he did was give up draft picks for other players.
Yeah, part of their problem is going forward, they have no draft picks.
Yeah.
And they don't have a ton of prospects either.
All the prospects they've had have been called up, basically, already.
So the Penguins will be an interesting one, as they always are, to watch in the off-season.
Mm-hmm.
But
right now, according to Hockey Futures, the Penguins have the 16th best prospect pool.
I mean, the Penguins, the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, their AHL team, I think are in the playoffs for the AHL. They're a fairly decent team. It's just I don't see any of them really probably transitioning to the NHL most likely.
Bleacher Report puts them at 20th in their prospect pool.
I mean, that's one of the things that their former GM, what was his name? Ray Shero. He
Yeah.
wasn't good at drafting. Like, the Penguins have all said he was terrible at drafting. He could make trades like nobody's business, but drafting was terrible for him. And all he did was give up draft picks for
Rutherford didn't really have a great drafting history in Carolina either, so...
Yeah. I mean, but he was just brought in to train the next guy for some reason. They didn't feel like their assistant GM was ready, so they brought him in to kind of help him out, train him, to show him how things work. And he was only going to be there for 2 to 3 years. Which I'm not sure that's something you want to do. I'm not sure why you would want to do that. I don't know. I think you should just give it over to your assistant GM and let him kind of figure it out on his own. Because now the team is kind of being left worse off when he comes in my opinion.
Well, they're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah.
As far as the Rangers go, they lost Matt Zuccarello for all of the second round at least. Obviously, they won the series.
That sounds like a
loss for
concussion.
them.
Yeah, it's questionable. You know, those upper body injuries and blah, blah, blah. But their defense played pretty well. Lundqvist didn't really steal any games. I still think that they need to see Rick Nash show up in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's been their biggest
That's
problem.
Yeah,
That's a problem he had last season, and while he did have 4 points, he's played 6 games so far. He has 4 points. It's not terrible, but at the same time, he was second leading goal scorer in the league this season, and he has 1 goal in 6 games so far. So
he had very few goals in the playoffs last year. In fact, speaking of Steven Stamkos, the other guy who's really going to start to carry that label, justified or unjustified, is Rick Nash.
he's shooting 4.8% in the playoffs right now.
I can't remember who I saw. He's been outscored, but in the playoffs by like Dan Carcillo or something ridiculous. He has not been good in the playoffs last year or this year, so he'll be an interesting one to watch. They're, of course, playing the Washington Capitals, who won in 7 games in probably the closest first-round series against the Islanders. Obviously, Game 7 wasn't close, but pretty interesting series. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I enjoy that series, yeah.
I
mean, I had it going to 7, so I thought it was going to be even
I did
closer. I just, for some reason,
did
the
not.
Islanders pulled off and them winning.
I would have said 7 if the Islanders were healthy. I picked Washington to win in 6, but I was impressed with the Islanders for pushing it to 7 when they had Travis Harmonic out. Wisniewski missed a bunch of time. The start of the series, I believe Grabowski was out for a game or 2 as well. So they had a bunch of injury problems, but they still fought through it, made it a 7-game series. And I was impressed with their younger leadership. Obviously, John Tavares is a great player, but I think that they're going to be a team that a lot of people are going to be afraid of next season. And I like where they're going. So good for them for making it to the playoffs and pushing that to a hard series. But I'm not surprised they lost.
If Halak can get back on it, I feel like they're going to be a scary team. Because I know towards the end of the season, he wasn't playing well at all.
I mean, he played well in the playoffs, though.
Mm-hmm.
He played great in Game 7. They did have a lot of injuries. Their third defensive pairing was literally 2 guys you've never heard of by Game 7. I will say this was another one where there was a coaching thing that was very confusing to me, which is Anders Lee was sat for the last 2 games, who was a tremendous rookie this year. And it was I don't know why Capuano did that, but they did play a great series. I think Tavares was very scary. Nick Leddy and Johnny Boychuk defensive pairing looks amazing.
The Islanders, Garth Snow did such an amazing job bringing those 2 in.
Yeah, really took advantage of the cap situation. It was very smart.
As far as Capitals go, I think that they're probably a little disappointed they didn't win this series quicker. But I don't think that they played a terrible series. I think they may have played a couple bad games. I think Holtby had one bad game, right?
Yeah, game 1 was just terrible all around.
Yeah, so I think that they just kind of wish they'd put the series behind them quicker because they were the better team. But they got through it, and that's what matters. Trotz and Ovechkin have always struggled to go far in the playoffs, and now they're playing the number 1 team in the league. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
I think that Backstrom had a great series. Ovechkin had a good series. The Islanders did a pretty good job of line matching with Ovechkin, but he still played a good series. The depth guys for the Caps really played well. Brooks Orpik had a great series, which is the contract is still pretty bluff, but that was great to see. And I actually have them getting the upset over the Rangers. I've got the Caps in 7.
Nice.
What do you guys have?
I picked the Rangers in 7, but at this point, with Zuccarello being out and with them not scoring like they should, I mean, Marty St. Louis
It's been terrible all season.
Yeah, I think he has 1 or 2 points so far in the playoffs. He's not doing anything either, so I wouldn't be surprised if Washington wins this one. And the thing is, you said that they did a good job shutting down Ovechkin. Washington also did a good job because Trotz was splitting up Backstrom and Ovechkin at times just to throw the Islanders off a bit. And obviously I think that ended up working. I think you'll still see them together a lot. But he'd been experimenting at the end of this season, in the regular season, splitting them up. And it seems like it's worked a little bit in these playoffs because it gives him more flexibility instead of just having
It's not one line they have to shut down. Now it's 2 lines they have to try to shut down.
The good news is that Ovechkin and Yevgeny Kuznetsov have found some good chemistry. Obviously, that Kuznetsov goal in Game 7 was a thing of beauty. Best goal of the playoffs by far. But also, Burakovsky have played a pretty good series, although he hasn't really showed up on the score sheet. And that's given the Caps some options, and some more unpredictable options, too. You know, you kind of know what Joel Ward is going to do. You kind of know what Jason Chimera is going to do. Burakovsky and Kuznetsov are both much more unpredictable players.
Okay. I'm going with New York Rangers in 6 games, personally. I think Lundqvist is going to start to kind of turn it on this series, and I feel like that's going to help carry the Rangers to the win in 6 games.
Tyler Johnson's back on the bench, guys.
That's good.
Yeah. He wasn't he left the bench for a little bit.
Yeah, he got hurt or something.
After an injury. Which he was forced to serve in the penalty box first.
I did see that. That was funny.
That was funny? It's not funny someone getting hurt.
It's not funny someone getting hurt. It's funny they made him stay in the penalty box. That's kind of hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say I don't think the Rangers have played that great so far. My pick was definitely influenced by the fact the Caps won Game 1. It was a very, very close game. The Rangers were out shooting them, but Holtby was great. Ovi was great all game. Backstrom looked great. Do you guys want to talk about the Backstrom hit?
I actually didn't see it, so.
Dave,
I felt it probably should have been a penalty. I don't think it should have been a suspension. I know some of the Rangers fans were calling for him to get fined or suspended. I didn't really feel like that was necessary. I thought it was a little reckless and probably deserving of 2 minutes, but...
Okay. I think we're basically on the same page, which is it wasn't boarding. It could have been a hit to the head. It's also hard to say, given watching the Caps Game 7 and all of the playoffs so far, it's hard to say that the way they've called things, that should have been a penalty. In the regular season, no questions, 2 minutes, and into the box, wave off the goal. But in the playoffs, the way they've been called this year, you basically have to kill someone.
Yeah, I'm looking at the hit now. That's worth 2 minutes, but not worth a suspension.
It's definitely not worth a suspension. And it's definitely not boarding. He does not get him in the numbers.
Yeah, he hits him on the side, it looks like, at least in the shoulders.
Yeah, the primary point of contact is the shoulders. He does get his head also. Boyle may be hurt. We're not sure. But
spoiler alert, Montreal just scored.
Oh, you're way ahead of me. Please don't give me spoiler alerts for the Blackhawks game.
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
Thank you.
I know that none of you guys are a fan for this.
Yeah. I don't care. I almost don't care who wins.
I definitely do care.
For your bracket, or because you hate Montreal?
Why not both?
Ooh, that was terrible.
What happened?
Who I don't remember, can't tell who shot it, but it went at like Bishop. Bishop had it in his glove, but at the top of it, it kind of just jumped over it and into the net after it hit off his glove.
Oh, that sucks.
It went into his glove and kind of just bounced out and into the net. It honestly looked like it wasn't even on net when he caught it.
Oh.
But that was his first goal in the last 133 minutes.
Who was the goal?
I couldn't tell.
Max Pacioretty.
Was it Pacioretty?
Oh, well, welcome back, Matt Pacioretty. Shit, I forgot what we were just talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the Caps Rangers series?
Oh, yeah. Anyways, go Caps. I made it to 2 games in the first round. Washington was... Are you guys ready for a really hot take?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think Washington might be better to watch a playoff game in than either Minnesota or Chicago.
Wow.
I know.
That's a hot take, but I would totally believe it for both. Because I've heard that the Minnesota Wild, their fans don't necessarily get up for the Wild for some reason as much as they do for the Gophers.
And high school hockey.
Yeah. So that's kind of weird to me. As far as Chicago goes, I mean, it's a big city. LA has the same problem. People are like, oh, LA fans don't get up for stuff. I'm sure Chicago is kind of the same way, even though Chicago wants to pretend like they're not. They're still a big city, and you're going to get a lot of fans that are just casual fans going to any game in a big city like that.
And I think Chicago has, and probably to LA, has begun to have the Toronto problem, which is that the lower bowl seats are so expensive that they tend to go to corporations, and then you don't really get fans in them. Whereas in Washington, the vast majority of the lower bowl seats are for fans. Tickets are not that expensive. I went to 2 games in the first round, and the crowd, especially Game 7, the crowd was just electric. And even Game 1, where we were losing and being outplayed pretty badly, the crowd was really great and really fun. So, strong kudos to Washington. You really made a fan out of me this season, and I hope that I get a chance to see a third-round series here.
Yeah, I think, as you said, the Toronto problem, at least in LA, the Staples Center hosts so many things that they sell a lot of tickets to the Staples Center, not to the Kings. So what happens is you get a lot of those lower bowl or suite tickets that go to people that are really Lakers fans or really Clippers fans or really just music fans and they just want to see concerts, whatever. And then they just sell them or they give them away to people that don't really care for corporate stuff. So I'm sure that happens in Chicago too.
Yeah.
With Washington, though, I know that they haven't had a good professional sports team in a long time.
Now we have 2.
I mean, the Nationals are good, but they're still
been like on and off, yeah.
But they're still a relatively young team to that city, so they don't have that longevity, and people haven't really grown to love them the way that they do the Caps, who have been around since '72.
I actually totally disagree with you. I 100%
Okay. Well, you live there. I'm just wondering. I mean, like, I know for at least here,
Washington
it's like people. I live in Anaheim. People love the Angels. They still like the Ducks too, but the Ducks haven't been around nearly as long as the Angels, so people tend to be like more passionate about teams that have been around longer.
Washington is not a great sports city, which is partly that it's a very transcendental city. People are always coming and going. A lot of people aren't from here, so they may have sports affiliations from home that they hold on to, etc. I'd say that by far the team that everyone likes is the Nats. And you very rarely see, everyone shows up in an OV jersey to Caps games, but you don't really see Caps gear or Wizards gear on the streets, or Redskins gear. What you see is Nats gear. Everyone's got a Nationals hat, everyone's got a Nationals t-shirt, people wear jackets. I'd say it's by far the most popular team. I think some of that.
Okay, I have a question on it though, because here's what I'm going to say: the Kings are not nearly as popular as Dodgers or Lakers or Angels here, or even USC or UCLA football, basketball. You know, the Kings are so far down the totem pole in Los Angeles, yet you see a ton of their gear since they changed their jerseys. I'm wondering, do you think it might be a fashion thing, though? Because this happened to the Kings in the 80s. It's happening to the Kings now. I'm wondering if the Nationals just have... I know that the Nationals hats got popular due to some pop culture people wearing them, and I'm wondering if it's just kind of more of a fashion thing than people actually liking the Nationals.
No, I think there's probably an element of that, but like Wizards gear is pretty cool. I think that it's a great thing to do in the summer. It's so hot here that just going to like sit at a baseball game and like hang out is a really popular thing to do. A baseball game is a really great thing to do for like networking. I think a lot of people go and like give tickets as like part of business exchanges. And I also just think that everyone comes from a place where there is baseball. And so baseball is like a thing that people find very easy to have in common. So I think that there's a cultural element to it. Also, before the Nats, the Orioles were a huge deal in Washington. So there is a baseball legacy in Washington. It's just not the one that you're thinking of. People do during, when you watch the Caps anthem, they shout red and they shout O. And where that comes from is at Orioles games, they've been shouting O for 4 years. So there's a tribute to a Baltimore sports team during the Washington hockey team's anthem, which is kind of funny. Mm-hmm. But the Wizards are in the second round of the playoffs as well. They swept the Raptors. So that was actually the second good sports team I was referring to.
Well, I still want... I don't know. But that's recent with them. What I'm saying is the Wizards still are not going to win the NBA championship. And I wouldn't say that they're a good team. They just happen to win that first. I mean, obviously they made the playoffs, but basketball, much like hockey, half the teams make the playoffs. And Washington hasn't won a championship, I think, since '92, when the Redskins won.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the best teams that they've had in the last 10 to 15 years have been the Capitals, who won their division, I think, 5 times in a row when they were in the Southeast, won a President's Trophy, blah, blah, blah. That's why I would think that they would have a better fan base there than other teams right now. But, obviously you live there. I'm probably wrong.
I think that So I went with a friend who's not really a sports fan to Caps Game 7. She wanted to go to it. She told me at the beginning of the season to take her to the best hockey game that I was going to go to. And I didn't take her to one all season, and I called her on Sunday night and said, hey, do you still want to go to the best hockey game I'm going to go to all season? And she went to Game 7. And she was amazed when we showed up in Chinatown that the streets were all red, and the restaurants were all red. Everyone was in Caps gear. She was like, I've never seen a single person wearing Capitals gear on a normal day. And here there are just thousands of people wearing 8, working 19, wearing 70. And so I think it's kind of hard to gauge, maybe less so than it is in Chicago, where people really do wear sports gear and really are very vocal about it. So we'll see. Ask me again at the end of the next season, I guess. We shall see. But that's the playoffs for you. We've recapped all the games. We recapped all the series.
We all have our
picks.
predictions, so...
We talked about some hot takes and some controversial moments. Do we want to go to the Stanley Cup or the NHL awards so far?
Sure.
Yes, but give me 1 minute because I really need to go grab something.
We want to take like a short break actually and come back in 5 minutes.
We could definitely do that if you want. I don't know.
I'm actually not sure how to take breaks on this thing. Besides starting a whole new episode.
Alright, never mind. We'll just talk through it.
Okay.
Let's roll.
That's fine. But I still need to go take a 1 minute break.
Yeah, you take a break. I'm going to go on my Mark Messier rant.
Okay, cool.
Okay, go ahead.
Alright, look. Everyone, listen the fuck up. There is a mystery in the NHL no one cares about it except for me. And by the time I'm done, you all better fucking care about it. The Mark Messier Leadership Award is unequivocally the worst award. And that is saying something, given that the Norris is broken, the Lady Byng is meaningless, and the NHL Foundation Award is like a huge question mark. But the Mark Messier Award is awarded by Mark Messier for the player that Mark Messier thinks most exemplifies Mark Messier. It's a disaster. It's been a disaster for years. It always goes to a totally predictable player. He gave it to fucking Shane Doan a couple years ago. What the fuck? But that doesn't mean that I don't care about the Mark Messier Leadership Award. I care so fucking much. Because it's so weird. It's just the biggest question mark. The reality is the Mark Messier Leadership Award should probably go to, like, the worst team's captain. You know? Because it's really hard to be that guy. It's not that hard to be fucking Dustin Brown. Anyways, I care about the Mark Messier Leadership Award. You should care about it too. It's an embarrassment to the NHL, but it's our embarrassment. That said, they released a schedule a couple weeks ago of how they were going to release the NHL award. Lady Byng was going to come on Tuesday. This was going to come on Wednesday. This was going to come on Thursday. And the Mark Messier Day was last Wednesday, or this Wednesday. And it came and fucking went. And there was radio silence. We didn't hear anything.
Mark Messier here says May 4th.
Or yes. No, it was supposed to come out this week.
No, it says May 4th here.
So there's a new question mark. Okay, so if you go to the, I will tweet links to this in a moment. I tweeted links to it last night. If you go to the initial schedule, Mark Messier Award was supposed to be on Wednesday. Didn't happen. And no one said anything about it. No one was like, oh, it's getting postponed, or like, da-da-da-da-da. There was just radio silence. And then, yesterday, I noticed they had taken it off a new calendar. And it's the only day they had skipped. They had an award Monday, they had an award Tuesday, nothing on Wednesday, award Thursday. So it's obvious.
They also don't have the King Clancy listed right now.
They also don't have what?
King Clancy Award.
Oh, that's true. Another award that's a big question mark. And so they've apparently rescheduled it for May 4th. What the fuck happened with the Mark Messier trophy? And I have a theory.
No one's Mark Messier enough?
No, my theory is that Mark Messier submitted a list of finalists that contained Mark Messier.
Mark Messier.
My theory is it came time for Wednesday night. It's like, let's say it's like Wednesday at 9 a.m. and Gary Bettman calls up Mark Messier and is like, yo, dude, we need your, like, 3 finalists. And Mark Messier is like, okay. It's Jonathan Toews, it's Ryan McDonough, and it's Mark Messier. And the Blackhawks just scored. What? Oh my god. I think the Blackhawks just scored.
According to my thing, they did. I'm not watching.
Oh my gosh, that was so easy. Oh my gosh. Everyone right now who's like, we're going to offer feet Brandon Saad, you can suck my dick. Oh my gosh. Fuck you, Devin Dubnyk. That was pure 100% Marian Hossa. That was beautiful. You're ahead of me. It counted that goal, right? Because I haven't gotten the phone notification for it.
I see it on NHL.com.
It's on the scoreboard now.
I'm not watching the game because Tampa Bay and Montreal is going to overtime.
I'm watching
that
the
was
game too. I should switch over.
Oh, they're both on NBCSN for me, so I can't really switch over.
Just need to get hockey streams.
My computer couldn't handle that.
You can run it on non-HD.
Oh, it's because I'm also hosting this call. So that takes a little bit of internet bandwidth.
You act like you're in Canada with your terrible bandwidth.
I can't run Skype and anything else.
Anyways, Mark Messier. It's hard to care about Mark Messier after that goal. That was beautiful. He totally unpassed. It was a steal by Marian Hossa. He totally went right around Ryan Suter. Just totally, Dubnyk didn't have a chance. Totally missed it. That was awesome. All right. Yeah, so the Mark Messier Leadership Award is a huge question mark. I think because no one cares about the Mark Messier, no one's been paying attention to me when I'm like, what happened to Mark Messier? But we should all care because there's a story here. If Tyler Dellow hadn't fucked off to work for the Oilers, Tyler Dellow would be investigating this. But he did fuck off to work for the Oilers.
if I had to create some sort of conspiracy theory as to why this happened, I'm just going to say that it was a typo by whoever put out that list to begin with.
No, but it definitely wasn't a typo because every other day that week had an award.
There was supposed to be an award going out today, though. The NHL Foundation Player Award, but that
already did go out.
Did it go out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I see it now.
Giordano, Burns.
It's not listed up on this. Like, I'm looking at like a list of all the things. It didn't say it came out. It doesn't have a finalist story attached to it. I just looked up at the top headlines, and there it is. But yeah, the May 4th should be the Messier Award for being the most like Mark Messier.
Yeah, so I think that everyone needs to fucking pay attention. I'm going to write a novel about this. It's going to be Mystery Alaska, but Mystery Messier.
Are you going to make it fanfic, or is it going to be real?
No, it's going to be... okay, to be fair, literature is just fan fiction that was written by men. I mean, think about it. Look at the Odyssey and then look at the Aeneid. The Aeneid is just fan fiction of the Odyssey. Frankenstein's monster is fan fiction of Frankenstein. Sorry?
Did you just pronounce the Iliad? How did you pronounce it?
Did Dave just cut out?
He was asking how you pronounce the Iliad.
I think you both cut out. I think it might be me that's cutting out.
I can hear you fine. All right.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, okay. I can't hear you guys. So can you repeat what you just said?
It sounded like maybe you were cutting in and out because it sounded like you pronounced Iliad really weird.
I didn't say Iliad. I said the Aeneid.
Aeneid.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, she did pronounce it weird because she wasn't pronouncing it.
Well, I thought that she was talking about Homer, so.
It doesn't make sense for the Iliad to be fan fiction of the Odyssey. The Odyssey comes second.
Well, I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
that's why I asked.
Come on, folks, get your Greek literature on point.
Well, obviously, I didn't hear you, which is why I asked you to repeat it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No. So look to Mystery Messier coming out this offseason. Anyways, let's talk about the real NHL awards. First one that went out was Lady Byng. Datsuk, Hudler, and Hudler, and Kopitar were voted Lady Byng finalists. Who do you guys think will win? Who should win?
Kopitar and Kopitar. And I know that I'm a Kings fan, and you're going to say I'm a homer, but no. Sorry. Of those three, I don't necessarily even think that those three were the best nominees in the league, but we don't have to, or finalists, we don't have to argue that. It is what it is now. However, I don't think Datsuk should have been nominated to begin with. You can't miss a quarter of the season and be nominated for a major award.
Yeah.
Okay? That really bothers me. I don't care that it's Datsuk and everybody loves him and he's won this before. Great. I know he's a clean player. And I'm sure he's probably going to end up getting a bunch of votes anyway because it's him. However, I don't think he's deserving of it. I don't think any player is deserving of any major award when you miss a quarter of the season. As far as Yuri Hudler goes... What's that?
That's going to make Andrew Hammond's nomination very awkward.
Yeah, I know. I don't... Okay. Anyway, we'll get to that award later. Anyway. As far as the comparison between Kopitar and Yuri Hudler doesn't start half of his face-offs or more in the defensive zone and go up against the top line of every other team like Kopitar does. And Kopitar still only had 10 penalty minutes all season, led his team in scoring for the 8th straight year. I know Hudler technically had a better offensive season than Kopitar, and you might say that he was a more dynamic player for the Flames than Kopitar was for the Kings. But all in all, when Kopitar plays the type of style he does, he got nominated for the Selke and for the Lady Byng. When you're working that hard defensively and you're only getting 5 penalties all season, that's ridiculous. That's my argument for Kopitar. I don't know.
I'm going to have to go with Kopitar also, honestly. Kopitar is one of the top players in this league, and he gets a lot of points while getting not many penalty minutes. So,
I don't care either way, to be honest.
I know, this award doesn't really matter. Anyway, I just want a King to win it. But honestly, I really do think that he deserves it over the other two. So, Moving on to the awards that people care about. The Selkie Trophy is going to Patrice Bergeron. Awesome.
And the other nominees were Kopitar and Taves. Bergeron should probably win it. It's entirely possible Taves will win on the basis of the fact that the voters like players who go to the playoffs. I do think that Bergeron should win.
Yeah, I've said this before in different places. I think you could make a legitimate argument Kopitar should have won last season. I don't think there's any way to argue for anybody but Bergeron this season.
I actually think you could probably argue for all three players. They're all fantastic defensive forwards. This is one of the awards ballots where the NHL got it 100% right, or the voters got it 100% right on who should be nominated. So, good job, voters.
I'll agree on that. Calder Trophy, top rookie.
Oh, I've got feelings.
Oh, wait, Dave, do you have anything to say about Selke? Is there a reason why Claude Giroux should have won the Selke, Dave? Dave's not here anymore.
Sorry, I just came back. But no, Claude Giroux should not have won it. Obviously, no. If anybody on the Flyers would have been Sean Couturier, but he's not up there yet. But yeah, I have to agree with Bergeron.
Okay. Calder Trophy. Boom, boom, boom. Aaron Ekblad.
I'm going with Aaron Ekblad.
Johnny Gaudreau. Mark Stone. Give us your reasons why Ekblad should win, Dave.
He is 18 years old and playing defense on a team that just barely missed the playoffs.
That's it.
I think that's amazing for an 18-year-old to play the level of defense that he's played.
All right. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Ari, tell me why Johnny Gaudreau should win.
No, I think 100%. I 100% think Aaron Ekblad should win. He had a historically good season for a defenseman at 18. He was fantastic night in and night out. It's the hardest position to play as a young guy. I am all on board with Aaron Ekblad winning. I think Mark Stone shouldn't have been nominated. I think Philip Forsberg should have been nominated.
Is this because you have a crush on him?
No, but I do. Thankfully, I can easily separate my hockey feelings from my emotional crush. And I can tell you that Philip Forsberg, even though he slowed down in the second half of the season, had an absolutely historic season. He was playing on the top line on a team that has a very hard time scoring. He was facing very tough competition. His possession numbers were fantastic. Mark Stone really did not play consistently the whole season. He played strong down the stretch. He was helped by some luck, a lot of luck, and he's much older than Philip Forsberg is. And I do think age is a consideration in this award.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Stone was a good player. I think that he should have been in the top 5 for sure. But I think Forsberg not getting nominated is a small market curse. I think it's a Sunbelt curse. And I think that the fact that he slowed down a little bit in January, February hurt him. But I definitely think he should have been the third nominee for this award.
Okay.
But Ekblad, even if Forsberg was nominated, Ekblad should still win. Don't get me wrong.
Granted, Mark Stone did get better as the season wore on. I kind of have a hard time, since this is a full season award, saying that just because somebody turned it on only at the end of the season, he got progressively better every month. So I don't think that it's like all of a sudden he just had one great month. Yes, the last month of the season was his best, but he also got better every month. So it's not, I don't know. I kind of feel like judging him based on the fact that you don't think he had a decent first half, if you're going to judge Philip Forsberg on his whole season. I mean, and you said that he's a whole lot older. He's only 22. It's not like he's old for a rookie.
Yeah,
he's
but
2 years older than Forsberg.
So like, he's been around since between the NHL and AHL since 2011. It's not like this is his first real shot up here. Forsberg came in 2012, so it's argument's kind of invalid, I guess. But I honestly think that Forsberg should have gotten it over Mark Stone, personally. Mark Stone has had a lot of time to kind of develop in the AHL, compared to Forsberg, who only had 47 games in the AHL before coming up here.
Good enough. I don't really care. I still think Ekblad's going to win too. So.
Yeah, we all kind of agree it's Ekblad most likely winning.
On to the next trophy.
Yeah, so the next trophy is the Vezina Trophy. The finalists were Devin Dubnyk, who just let in a goal from none other than Preston Saad, Carey Price, and Pekka Rinne.
I think we already all know who's going to win it. It's not really a...
It's obviously Pekka Rinne. No, I'm kidding. It's Price.
Yeah, Price is running away with it. I'm pretty sure we all agree with that. Like, that's been kind of what everyone's been saying. Everyone agrees. Pekka Rinne deserves to be number 2. I personally do not think Devin Dubnyk should be number 3.
Yeah, you said that you were going to make a case for Steve Mason.
Yes.
Being a finalist.
Steve Mason.
I would love to hear why you feel that way.
Look at the defense in front of him first off, and look at the team in front of him. They were in the bottom half for goal scoring this year, and yet he still was in the top 3, 0.0, like just one step below Devin Dubnyk for goals against, and he was 7th for goal. One step. He was 3rd for save percentage and 7th for goals against average. For a player that everyone kind of written off first off, and coming here. He has been one of the best goaltenders in the league since coming to Philadelphia. That is my personal opinion. But like the team in front of him was not helping him, which is why his road record was disastrous. The team did not score for him. I mean, it goes to show he had more for most of the season he had more shutouts than wins on the road, and those 2 shutouts were losses. He did not have a good away team in front of him, which is why he had a disastrous road record, and that is, I think, the biggest thing, and the reason he did not get this. He did not get 3rd place in this voting because his road record was terrible because of the team in front of him.
I'm going to disagree with you and say that the reason he didn't get nominated he was nominated, but he wasn't a finalist, is because he played 51 games.
He was hurt for a majority of the season too, though.
So,
all those games he didn't play,
like I said, I'm somebody that doesn't feel like you can justify giving somebody a finalist nod if they haven't played, 3/4 of the season for their team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know goaltenders are not obviously going to play 80 games a season, but still, Carey Price played 66 games. Rinne played 64. Devin Dubnyk played 58. And some people still felt that him playing less than 60 meant he shouldn't have been nominated for this. So, yeah. Carey Price, though, had a historic season, maybe the best season we've seen since Dominik Hasek back in the day. I don't think anybody is going to deny him his Vezina Trophy.
I will say, I agree that Dubnyk was sort of a strange choice, although he did have a crazy half season. Dave, do you have a choice for who would have been 3rd if it wasn't Devin Dubnyk? Because I do have a choice, and my choice is not Steve Mason.
Braden Holtby, he played 73 games. He had the same save percentage as Pekka Rinne. He had 41 wins. His goals against is only 2.22. He's the only other one that I would have given it to.
I actually have a different answer, so all 3 of us had answers.
You're going to say Corey Crawford.
You're saying
no.
Snyder, aren't you?
Corey Crawford is decidedly average. I would say Corey Schneider in New Jersey.
He was definitely my pick, my other pick over Dubnyk also. So.
Yeah, Corey Schneider played behind a bad New Jersey team. He had a 295 save, or 225. He had a 925 save percentage.
You can talk.
95, which was top 5 in the NHL. He had a 226 goals allowed against, which is also very good. He only played 69 games, but he played an unbelievable number of games in a row to start the season. They totally exhausted him. He was the all-star of their team. He was the only reason that they weren't just absolutely basements. I would say that Corey Schneider has been a very good goalie for a long time, and this year made the step to elite.
Mm.
I think that's not a bad choice. I just think that there's no way that he was going to be nominated with 26 wins.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously think wins is a shitty statistic because Corey Crawford has lots of wins, and Corey Crawford should not win the Vezina Trophy. Um, but I understand that voters still look at that. Hopefully, they will stop doing that.
So there was the best goaltender in position, not the most successful goaltender in the position.
So there was this goalie named Al Rollins. Do you know who that is, Ari?
Yes. I don't know a ton about him, but I remember the name.
Al Rollins played for the Chicago Blackhawks in the 50s when they were absolute horseshit.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, I'm just being honest here. Okay, he won the Vezina Trophy in 51, and then he won a Hart Trophy in 54. The amazing thing, though, is that when he won, excuse me, when he won that Hart Trophy, I think that they came in last place.
Yeah, I think that's right.
He only won. I remember. Hold on.
They won 12 games that year.
How many do you lose? Because I think he lost over 40.
He lost. He won he won 12 games and he lost 47.
And he won the Hart Trophy. That's ridiculous.
That's amazing. He was Carey Price, but the team was worse. That's truly incredible.
The Lightning may.
No, they didn't. They waved it off.
The goal.
They waved it off.
Do you think they're going to review it and it might get called a goal?
Well, they waved it off on the ice, so.
Yeah, so we'll see. It has to be a definitive turnaround.
What was it waved off for?
Goal interference crashed into the.
That could.
Oh, that bounced over.
I've seen a goal counted. It was after the whistle. It was before the whistle, so that won't go against.
It's in Montreal. They'll give it to the Canadians.
Yeah, Montreal typical. Montreal typical.
Wow.
Oh, he pushed him in though.
Yeah. Hot takes right now.
Oh,
okay.
Peter Laviolette.
I'm still better about 1993, so.
I was quoting Peter Laviolette.
Anyway. It would appear that Chicago may forget it.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Wait a few minutes. That's what he's saying.
Was that a spoiler? Oh, did we score again?
On to the Norris Trophy.
Oh man, we totally did, and you're just not telling me. Who scored? Unless it's the Wild. In which it was the Wild, don't tell me. Oh, it just happened! Oh, Brad Richards.
No, Patrick Kane.
No, it was Baby Ratata. Or was it Patrick Kane?
I think it was.
Yeah? Okay. I'll have to see the replay.
Brad Richards has an assist.
Sucks to suck, Wild. This is much better than Game 1 last year. Game 1 last year, they just totally outplayed us. We still won. Oh, that was wow. I know that Brad Richards isn't that good anymore, but you can't let him just like have a totally undefended centering pass in the slot. Patrick Kane. I guess there were 3 guys trying to defend him. It just wasn't working. Also, that was very fast for Brad Richards, who is not a fast player anymore. Old man speed.
People named Richards go down quickly. Norris Trophy.
Thank you for Simmons, by the way.
What's that?
Thank you for Simmons.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so the nominees for Norris were Doughty, Carlson, and Subban. This is another one where I think the voters got it very right. As much as I would love to see Shea Weber win one, he wasn't that good this year. We had talked about the fact that I think Doughty has been fantastic this year, and we were worried he wasn't going to get nominated because the Kings didn't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But the voters recognized that that wasn't his fault.
I don't know, early in the season, Giordano was in talks, but he got hurt, so that kind of ruined his nomination.
If he had played the whole season, I think he would have deserved it. But
yeah,
he
but he did get hurt, so he didn't get nominated, which I agree with. He didn't play the full season, these 3 did.
So who are your guys' pick? I think that really anyone could win this.
Yeah, I think it's a toss-up. I was like looking at it, I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to pick for this.
I think that PK Subban deserves to win.
He won last year, didn't he?
No, he won 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
I think PK Subban, when you look, I know that Doughty has ridiculous Corsi numbers, but the Kings do in general. So when you look at relative Corsi and you look at the fact that Subban plays on one of the worst offensive teams of the three, actually he is on the worst offensive team of the three, and he still puts up more points than Doughty, I kind of got to give it to him. Although, unfortunately, I think Karlsson's going to win this, and I think he's been the worst of the three, and the only reason I think he's going to win is because he played better down the stretch, and the voters voted right before the end of the season, and this is voted on by writers. Writers tend to favor East Coast. I'm really not trying to, lament the fact that there's an East Coast bias. It just seems to be the case. So Doughty will get less votes, especially since they missed the playoffs, and the other two did not.
They tend to favor the East Coast because it's easier to watch those games compared to the late games where the writers on the East Coast.
Exactly, and the problem is when you watch Doughty play, and mind you, in my opinion at least, I'm totally a homer obviously, but I felt like he played better than Karlsson or Subban in the games that they played against each other. So, to me, it's a matter of the writers are going to look at stats, see that Karlsson led the league in scoring, see that Subban was close behind him, and see that, Doughty, the only stats that he really dominated in are mostly advanced stats, and a lot of writers still don't either A, understand that, or B, are old school and don't care. So they'll still look at plus-minus, or they'll still look at point totals, and they won't look at the all-around game because they didn't watch the Kings play very often because they were on the West Coast.
I think that you're right that West Coast players get less consideration. I also think Drew Doughty doesn't deserve the award at this point in the season. I do think that I would probably choose either Karlsson or Subban. I think that the Kings are at the point where, and the Blackhawks are at this point too, so I'm not just singling you out. The Kings are at the point where there's like a Kings bump and a Blackhawks bump to any award nomination, which is that because you play on a team that's so good and that has won so many Stanley Cups, players get extra consideration for awards. That's why Duncan Keith won his North, second North. And that's why Jonathan Toews probably won that Selke. And that's, part of the narrative bias. So I don't know that West Coast bias affects Drew Doughty as much as it affects, Ryan Getzlaf. That said, I think we've talked, when Hamza was on the podcast, we talked about the fact that Norris is the most confusing trophy, very difficult. I think you can make cases for any three of these guys and have them be legitimate. Erik Karlsson is such a huge part of the way that team plays their game. He is probably the most valuable defenseman to his team. PK Subban is also a huge part of the way that team plays their game. Dave is right, that team is shitty without Subban, and Price, obviously. He's also much improved from when he originally won the Norris. Looking at his game now versus his game then, this is clearly the Norris-worthy season. So I don't know. I think, did we just score again?
Yep.
What the fuck? We have 5 shots.
It was Kruger.
Kruger. Oh my god, the Krugius. Our fourth line is scoring? Oh man. I told you Devin Dubnyk wasn't good.
This is a guy that's third place in our Vezina voting.
As I told other Dave at the beginning of the season, Minnesota Dave, you and what goaltender? Oh my god. Oh, that was a nice goal, too. Wow.
I wonder how he's doing.
Marcus Kruger never scores. This is amazing.
Well, if Minnesota's going to lose a game, this is the game you want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that said, as we've determined, a 3-goal lead means nothing in these playoffs.
Yep.
The Blackhawks have come back from it. The Flames have come back from it. Montreal have come back from it. So the game's not over yet, but that was a nice goal, Marcus Kruger. I like it. And now Parisi took a penalty. Our power play doesn't mean anything, but they probably won't score. So. I'm sorry, were we talking?
The Norris Trophy is what we just covered. I think we kind of... I couldn't pick a winner. You two, I guess, picked Subban.
I don't know. I'll go with Carlson just to disagree with LA Dave.
You like disagreeing with him?
I know, it's fun.
I said that I thought that he would win, but I think PK Subban deserves it.
Alright, well then I'll go the opposite. I'll say I think Erik Karlsson deserves to win, but PK Subban will.
Okay, fine.
I hope they all win. And we can live all happily ever after together.
With flowers and rainbows?
Yes.
I just want to make a cape full of feelings.
Can we go back to kindergarten where we all got along?
Let's be real, I didn't get along with anyone in kindergarten. Anyways.
Next is the Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
And I think they got the nominations right.
Yeah, I think they did too.
I mean, I can't make a case for any of the three not getting it, but yeah.
I could make a case for why Nick Backstrom should have also been nominated, but man, I'm still so salty about the Ross Trophy. You would not believe
it. What, Ben winning it in the last, minute?
Yeah, that's some fucking bullshit.
I'm more salty about the fact that Patrick Kane had to go and get himself hurt, so American didn't win it. Way to go, Kane.
I'm also salty about that.
Yeah, I'm mad. My player was in the running all season, was first for a long time, and then he stopped scoring.
To be fair, that was pretty predictable.
Yeah, I know. I was ready for it. I just really wanted it bad. Yeah.
As far as the Hart Trophy goes, Montreal's really making a push for Price to win this thing. And I get that, but I kind of feel like Tavares was just as important to his team as Price was to his.
Mm-hmm.
Tavares was the second leading scorer in the league, 1 point behind Jamie Benn. And I felt like he had to carry his team a lot due to some injuries, especially at the end of the year. But even during the middle of the year, Kyle Okposo was hurt.
Mm-hmm. We all know that
he was out for a while. It's like that team.
That team would be nothing without Tavares, in my opinion.
I agree. I don't know that they would have even made the playoffs if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, I mean with Leddy and Boychuk coming in, they kind of solidify their defense. Halak isn't a terrible goaltender. He's actually pretty decent. But their offense is nothing without Tavares. He drives that offense. I mean, we saw it last year when he went down after the injury after the Olympics. They fell so hard, so fast. They need him, and he is so important to that team.
Yeah, I think with no insult meant to Ovechkin, either Price or Tavares is probably the clear.
I mean, with Ovechkin, they have Backstrom with him. There is a 1-2 situation going on with them.
I also feel that the the Capitals are a better team overall. So
they have a chance with Ovechkin not being there. If Ovechkin doesn't show up, they have a team to kind of support behind him, which Montreal and the Islanders necessarily do not.
I think it's hard to choose between Tavares and Price. I think Price is the trendy pick. He's certainly extremely important. I know a lot of voters feel that the Vezina is the goalie's heart, which I don't think is true, but I think that may cost him some votes.
Mm-hmm.
If Tavares won, I'd be thrilled for him. I haven't had a chance to go through and look, but you can calculate what percent of the Isles what percent of goals scored by the Isles he contributed on, and I bet it's well over 30%.
Mm-hmm.
He's so important to everything that team does. He is absolutely their identity. So I guess I kind of just talked myself into John Tavares.
I mean, he scored a point in 65.9% of their games. So, on a lot of the games, he was a factor in.
Is Sharp not on the bench?
I'm not sure. I'm not watching that game. It's still overtime here with Tampa Bay and Montreal.
Well, that's the end of the first for Chicago, 3-0.
Tavares contributed on a third of his team's points, 34%.
Oh, I totally just nailed that.
34%. Yeah.
Wow, shout out to me.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm kind of edging towards Tavares for this award personally.
I don't think he's going to win, though.
So important.
Patrick Sharp is in the Blackhawks dressing room. We don't know
Who do
what's
you
wrong with
think's
him.
going to win, Dave?
I think Price is going to win just because of Montreal media, but I don't think he deserves it. I think Tavares does personally.
It's kind of funny. I planned on saying that I thought that Price should win, but the more I think about it, the more I think that Tavares should win. But I think Price probably will.
I want Tavares to win, yeah.
I wanted Tavares to win the Art Ross too, but then he fell off. And then Backstrom, God, fuck you, Jamie Benn. No one even likes you. They only care because Tyler Seguin is on your team.
Seriously, does anyone outside of Dallas like Jamie Benn?
I'm kind of meh with him.
Yeah, meh.
Actually, I know one person that
It's kind of
does.
like I don't hate him, but I don't like him.
That's because he's basically a slice of white bread with mayonnaise on it.
Do you know Keelan?
Yeah, Keelan loves Jamie Benn.
Don't know why.
I don't know why either. Keelan, if you're listening,
I think the only reason I kind of like care about Jamie Benn is because of Sagan being there.
yeah, I'm
When
not
I think
wrong.
about it, like I like Sagan. It's just Jamie Benn is kind of attached to him.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. I am many things, but I'm not wrong. Yeah, and like, I swear to God, this is one of those seasons where in 20 years you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, who won the Art Ross? Who won the Rocket Richard and the Art Ross in 2015? They'll be like, well, the Richard was probably Ovechkin. The Art Ross, Tavares maybe? Backstrom maybe? Was it Ovechkin again? No, it was Jamie fucking Benn. Everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck?
It's the Jonathan Cheechoo Award basically this year.
Yeah, you are Jonathan Cheechoo. I mean, he's a very good player, but fuck you, Jamie Benn. He did do it without Tyler Seguin, which is very impressive, but I'm so salty. Anyways, do we have any more awards?
We have the Foundation Award.
Yeah,
And Masterton.
there's one. Yeah.
Masterton Foundation.
Oh, yeah, so there's the Community Service one and the Masterton.
Okay. We had talked about Andrew Hammond getting nominated for an award when he only played 20-something games. How is Pekka Rinne not nominated instead of him?
I got just shellacked on our hockey for saying that it's a joke that Andrew Hammond was nominated.
Yeah, I know, and I commented on that with you, and
Why did he get nominated for the Masterton?
Because he overcame... So, I don't understand if there's part of this story that I've missed. As far as I understand it, Andrew Hammond basically overcame the fact that he's bad at goaltending.
yes.
All the Ottawa fans were like, no, there's more to the story if you look into it. And I was like, what more is there to the story? And no one would answer my fucking question.
Like, yeah, Pekka Rinne not only had to go through surgery, but then got an infection, came back and played at a level high enough to be nominated for the Vezina Trophy this season, and doesn't get nominated. Like, what?
And if you're looking for an overcoming being bad story, Scott Darling overcame being bad because of alcoholism and social anxiety, which is a much better story than overcoming being bad because you're still bad. So I don't understand. He also only played 20 games this season. Sure, he played 20 great games, but he played not even a quarter of the season.
Yeah,
he played a quarter of the season.
He played 23 games.
Yeah, he played a quarter of the season.
All right. I can math,
still,
I promise.
It's not enough for him to be nominated for this. This is totally... His name was in the media, people noticed it, so they picked him.
Yeah, it's a narrative nomination. It's okay. Chris Letang is going to win.
Yeah, like... I mean, I kind of...
I wonder if that's just why he wasn't a finalist. Like, everybody's like, oh, everybody that wanted to vote for Pekka Rinne ended up voting...
for Chris Letang as their number one.
I just don't get it.
I mean, Devin Dubnyk, I'm kind of with his nomination for this. Like, yeah, he overcame being bad by being put on 2 defensive teams.
To be fair, he did overcome playing in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same.
Overcame Edmonton, and then, what was it? Montreal, and then the Predators. So it's not like he was always on Edmonton.
Oh, wasn't he in Arizona for a while?
That's where he was at the beginning. That's where he started this year.
Yeah, and he credits Sean Burke for turning around his play.
Sean Burke is a terrible human being and a great goalie coach.
He's one of the best goalie coaches in the league.
Why do you say he's a terrible human being?
He's abusive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sean Burke, possible next head coach of Toronto. By the way, that's a big name.
Yeah, he's trying to hop into coaching. So.
And then I guess there's but we are all pretty much agreed that Crystal King is going to win.
I think the only reason Dubnyk got a nomination was because he is in the Vezina voting. But yeah, Crystal Tang's going to win it. He did have, what was it, a stroke this year? Was that this with him?
Yeah, and blood clots and a terrible concussion.
I thought blood clots was who's their other player?
Pascal Dupuis. No, they both had blood clots.
They both had blood clots.
I think. Maybe I'm getting
I
confused.
don't think he had blood clots. I think he just had a stroke.
Well, he had the stroke, and he had
Concussions, yeah.
concussions. Did he have a? Who was the one who had a? No, that's Dupuis. All right, yeah, just the.
Yeah, it just says it says nomination coming just 15 months after suffering a stroke in January 2014.
Yeah, just 2 life-threatening injuries.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, he's probably gonna win it. So.
And then there's the NHL Foundation Award, which I don't know who should win.
I don't remember what this award's for, so.
It's for community service, basically.
I just read the article that you tweeted at me.
Oh, the article I just tweeted to him was about Sean Burke, who was convicted for domestic violence in 1998 and served 18 months probation, which, as always, domestic violence sentencing is a joke, but now you know if you didn't previously know. There is a spreadsheet somewhere, I think that Glitter for Goals made it, of every NHL player who has been accused of domestic violence or like sexual assault. And the list is like absolutely horrifying. Tons of players I had no idea about. I will see if I can find it after the podcast. But anyways, everyone is trash. Everything is terrible. NHL Foundation Award. People who are doing good things.
I'm not sure.
You know the sad part is that when you look at arrests across athletes, there's websites that track this. I think it's called ArrestNation.com. NHL is so much fewer than everybody else, though. And you're like, if the NHL is this bad, like the NFL and the NBA in comparison, even baseball, it's like, ugh. Athletes are pretty garbage.
Arrest rates is not necessarily the same thing as crime rate. And the NHL is largely white, which means they're less likely to get arrested for domestic violence. So, yes, the arrest rate is definitely better in the NHL. I don't know that necessarily means the NHL is better in terms of actual crimes committed.
They're just better at hiding it.
Or they're white, so they get the benefit of the doubt.
But they still get arrested. This just tracks arrests, not prosecutions.
I mean, lots of people don't get arrested for domestic violence. Anyways, that's a conversation for another day. Let's not
Back
get
to
into
happier
it.
topics. Look at these people doing nice things. Brent Burns, Mark Giordano, and Henrik Lundqvist.
I haven't actually read what they did, so what did they do to be good people?
They all kind of, let's see.
None of us know. I didn't read this article either. I don't know what this award is for.
They volunteered, did things, and I think they just kind of have like charities. Mark Giordano did a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. So
I know Henrik Lundqvist auctioned off a whole bunch of masks and raised a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I think Ben Scrivens did the same thing, and Ben Scrivens wasn't nominated, so who the fuck knows?
Well, Edmonton's not allowed to have nice things. That's why he didn't win.
Edmonton just got Connor McDavid. They have the nicest things.
That is true.
Also, they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who is like one of my faves.
I read Henrik Lundqvist's thing wrong, and I thought that he had spent time trying to cure pediatric cancer, and I was like, what? And then I realized that he just spent time and raised funds for it. Okay.
Yeah, he tried to cure cancer while, being one of the best goaltenders in the league.
That would make him the clear favorite.
No big deal.
Yeah, I guess he just dropped some money on it. Okay. Fine. Way to go, Lundqvist. Not even helping cure cancer.
Okay, if there was an NHL player who would try to cure cancer, what NHL player would that be?
Alex Ovechkin. He's becoming a doctor.
Okay, PhD is not the same as an MD, but I will accept the Alex Ovechkin answer.
Okay, that's true.
Getting a
I don't actually know what it. He's getting a PhD in something. I don't even know what it is.
He's getting the Russian equivalent of a PhD. Yeah.
Okay.
How
He's
is that not still a
master's.
PhD?
It's fewer years and the accreditation is different.
So if he came to the U.S., he'd have to take another year.
No, he would. It's just a different.
We would probably take an equivalency test or something.
There's no such thing as an equivalency test for a PhD.
Okay.
It's just a difference. It's the difference between getting like an LLM and a JD. That might not mean anything to you guys.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's just a different academic certification. It's not the same as a PhD. A PhD is, from an American standpoint, a PhD is more prestigious, but this is definitely, it's in between a master's and a PhD.
Okay.
It's still a very impressive thing to be doing while you're playing professional hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex Ovechkin does have a master's that he got one off season. He's a smart guy,
He just went for an off season and got a master's.
basically.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like his parents raised him pretty well.
Yeah.
Well,
Seems to
his
be a
mother
fun-loving
seems like the
guy.
kind of person you would not want to cross.
I know. I'm pretty sure she has ties to the Russian mafia.
I've actually never seen his mother, so I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
She was a Soviet basketball player. She was like the second best player on some very good Soviet basketball teams, and she is just, by all accounts, a force of nature. Alex takes after her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is his agent also. Also, I think that she had some pretty strong ties in the Soviet government and now the Russian government. I think if Tatiana Ovechkina had dinner with Vladimir Putin, I don't think you'd be surprised.
No, that's what I'm saying. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love her. Anyways,
If you had to pick another player, who would it be? That moonlights as a doctor.
God, probably like Patrice Bergeron.
Hmm.
Patrice Bergeron probably walks around at night curing the sick. Let's be real. Alternately, Jaromir Jagr. He clearly has access.
Can do anything. I mean, he already has like ageless formula.
Yeah,
So
he
why not
clearly
try to
has
cure
access to
cancer
medical
at
technology.
it?
See, I don't know. He strikes me as a jock.
It's
He doesn't know anything but sports.
it's definitely
He doesn't
possible.
really have a love life, from what I understand. Like, evidently, he might have somebody back in the Czech Republic, but he doesn't have any kids. He doesn't really seem like he knows what he's going to do
It
once
is
he's done
his
with hockey.
entire life. Yeah, that's why he hasn't retired, because hockey is his life.
Yeah. I don't know. It
Also,
doesn't
he's
seem
probably
like he
still paying
has.
off his gambling debts.
What's that? Well, yeah, that's true too.
But
But a
he
lot
also
of players
wants
do that. I mean, a lot of people give shit to athletes when they're in a spotlight like that. Like, I feel like so many players waste their money on other things, yet somehow players that waste their money on gambling are somehow made fun of worse, even though most players end up going broke after they leave the league anyway. So it's just a matter of where you waste your money. So
That's an interesting perspective, actually.
I feel like these guys, they're gonna blow their money on something, but if they blow it gambling, then all of a sudden they're terrible people. Whereas a guy that blows it spending on a bunch of cars and houses, somehow it isn't as bad, and it's a sad story. Like, you're like, well, they didn't get good financial advice. Okay, well, obviously nobody got good financial advice, and they need to do a better job of this across the league. But just because a guy does it gambling, all of a sudden somehow there's a stigma to it.
I mean, the NHLSPA is apparently very lacking when it comes to trying to like transition players into the real world.
I mean, that's been a huge story recently with the Dan Carcillo and Kevin Wickenheiser Players Tribune articles.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one today by Chris Collins, who was a former Hobie Baker finalist who was drafted by Boston. He went to Boston University, I think. And then he went and played in Helsinki for a while. now he's no longer in the league. But yeah, he basically wrote about that as well. Like he didn't know what he was going to do afterward, and now he's working for some sort of firm here in California. I forget if it's real estate or economic firm or something, but it's an equity firm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is tough. I mean, even before they wrote those, I know people hate Sean Avery, but Sean Avery wrote a piece too talking about the money issues with the NHL and how people basically should save their money that they get because they basically can get all their food and everything for free from the team while they're playing with the team. So save your money from everything else and not blow that money when you could just spend the team's money to get everything you need. It's technically not part of your salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually the Sean Avery article technically constituted tax evasion, so it was not very good advice.
That's Sean Avery for you, though.
Yeah, but it was an interesting article.
But he's not wrong. I mean, I guess now that he brought it up, maybe people are gonna have a harder time doing it. But it's not like players aren't already doing that or have done it. I
mean, his fundamental point, which was don't spend extravagantly because the money goes faster than you realize, is a great point. Yeah. His point about spending per diem money that you're not actually, about taking per diem money that you're not spending and not reporting that to the team is tax evasion. But if you don't get caught, you don't get caught is sort of the way the United States looks at it. So, but don't pay your taxes. Please pay your taxes. Your taxes pay my salary. Please pay your taxes.
Yeah, your taxes pay my salary too. Please pay your taxes.
Dave's over here like, don't pay your taxes.
Depends. I mean, I'm all for getting as much tax return as you can. So, but at the same time, that's because of the way that our government's capitalistic, and you have to fight for a lot of things that other countries, first world countries, don't have to. I mean, it costs a lot of money to go to the hospital or do other things. So, if the government's not going to help you out in that department, then fuck them.
What's interesting is that in most countries, you don't have to calculate your own taxes.
That's very true. Even you're talking about even on a basic level, like going to the store. Like you don't have like $2.99. You have like $2.14 with the exact tax number or something. You know.
Yeah, the idea of tax added to the price you see is very confusing for most foreigners.
And then you go state to state, and it's different.
I know. It is confusing. But anyways, that is, I totally forgot what we were talking about.
Tax evasion, apparently.
We were talking about the Players Tribune thing.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember what we were talking about before that.
What led into that?
I know. I was watching the game and doing this at the same time is very hard.
We were talking about the Foundation Award at one point.
Yeah, we were talking about players becoming doctors. But...
Oh, that's right. All right. I was asking.
I could see Zdeno Chara doing it. I mean, he already speaks 8 languages, and
he just got his real estate degree.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and he just got his degree in. He got certified as a real estate agent. He is a very smart guy. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't like that we've just determined that Boston players are good people.
Goes against everything we know and love.
I know, that's gross. People keep being like, are you going to be a Bruins fan? And I'm like, no.
Just remember, they have Lucic.
I know, and Marchand.
Oh, shoot.
What?
Did Montreal just win?
No, Bishop took a shot to the head.
Oh, that's not good.
He's up, though, it looks like.
He is. That's not what they need right now, is for him to go down.
No, that would be reverse Montreal.
If he goes down, I might change my pick to Montreal.
Too late now, Dave. Too late now.
It's already recording, damn it. I mean, all 3 of us would technically need to change our pick because we all picked 6 games.
Took a butt to the face. I mean, unless that's the puck and the butt. Ooh, nope, that was butt.
What was it? Les boots. Haha, the French pun.
Haha!
You're not funny.
God damn it. I actually thought that was really good. It was very situational.
Let's see.
Okay, what else? We got all the player awards kind of on. I guess we'll head into the world championship.
World Championship?
That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
I haven't watched any of this because I have a job where I can't watch hockey. So
Yeah, I couldn't. I was getting updates on Flyers players today, so.
My boss was not in the office today, so
nice. My boss wasn't supposed to be in the office today, and then at 4 o'clock he walked in wearing a pair of mom jeans and a University of Minnesota sweatshirt. It's very, very disarming.
nice.
Anyways, tell me about the World Championships.
So
Team
here's
one.
the deal. Some people thought that the U.S. might be on the verge of relegation after this tournament based on the squad that they were putting in. Not that they would be relegated, but that they've brought such a shitty squad that they might finish so badly that if they didn't do well next year, they might end up getting relegated. But they came out today and played great against Finland with a college goaltender and Matt Hendricks as our captain. And mind you, Hendricks did have 2 goals. Steve Moses scored 2 goals as well, I believe. And if you don't know, Steve Moses was playing for Helsinki in the KHL this season. He's an American who broke the KHL goal scoring record for a season this year. So he signed, after the season, he signed with the Nashville Predators, so he will probably be joining them next season if he gets their training camp okay. But he had a really pretty goal, and the U.S. won 5-1.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Where is he going if he goes to training camp?
Nashville.
Nashville. Oh, great.
Yeah. So his knock has always been that he was small, but he seems to have a knack for scoring.
Being small shouldn't mean anything, honestly.
Canada destroyed Latvia. No surprise, 6-1.
Yeah.
Uh,
That Canada team is stacked, though.
Oh, I know. Russia's stacked too. They won 6-2 over Norway. Also not a surprise. Norway is getting better, but obviously they don't have their best player, Matt Zuccarello, who's, if he gets healthy, he's going to be playing for the Rangers. And the best game of the day, by far, which was also just an amazing game in general, was Czech Republic versus Sweden. Sweden won 6-5 in a shootout. But that game, the Swedes took a 2-0 lead. Czech Republic came back and made it 3-2. Then it was 4-2. Then it was 4-3. Then it was 4-4. Then it was 5-4 Czech Republic. And then it was 5-5. And all of this happened mostly in the third period. So I think it was 3-1 going into the third. And Sweden tied that game after pulling their goaltender with less than a minute left. So it was just a ridiculous game.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good time. There's nobody else really that's yet to play aside from Slovakia that I think really has any chance at the medals. Slovenia is expected to be better, obviously.
They've been slowly getting better and better as kind of, I guess, the years progress. I mean,
Switzerland is always dangerous, but they don't have the greatest team this year either. Austria doesn't have Thomas Vanek right now. I think they're missing a couple of people.
Switzerland does have Yossi.
Austria has Michael Raffel, so that's all they need.
No.
Our top line winger.
I like all hockey, obviously. I think that the international tournament is fun, like most one-and-done tournaments. I mean, I know the preliminaries are a round robin of sorts, but I love the playoffs where it's one and done. It makes every game more exciting. Also, all of these preliminary games are really exciting because 3 points matters, and going to overtime and winning counts as only 2 points instead of 3. So a lot of different circumstances depending on how you win games, or if you win enemy shootouts are only worth 1. It's good times.
Yeah. I wish I could watch them, but like Ari, I have, work during all this. So I'm stuck to watching Twitter feeds, hopefully with people updating.
I think right now, Russia is in Group B with the U.S. Canada's in Group A with Sweden. I personally thought Russia and Finland were going to come out of Group B, but since the U.S. won, now it's kind of looking like the U.S. is in a good spot unless Slovakia beats them. But still, beating Finland was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it will beat Russia.
I mean, beating Pecorine is something to do, so.
Yeah.
Although he really wasn't that good in the playoffs, and it sounds like he wasn't that good today.
No, he wasn't at all. He was terrible.
So maybe the.
I mean, a 5-1 score.
I mean,
okay, I will say that the first goal was a ridiculous backhand shot. The second goal, he made the initial save, but it was a 2-on-1. The fifth goal was empty netter. So he let in a couple bad goals. But I wouldn't say that he played completely terrible. His defense was just terrible in front of him as well.
I'll be right back.
Sure. He is. I'm going to speculate a little bit now. He is coming back from a long stretch where he didn't play. So I wonder if maybe sort of as the season's gone on, his conditioning wasn't 100% there. Because he was much better in the first half than the second half of the season. He didn't look that great in the playoffs. Maybe he's a little worn out. Nashville also does play him a lot.
I noticed, yeah, that is true. They do play him a lot. And it's kind of weird to me seeing as Carter Hutton has not played that badly for them in the last couple seasons.
No, but I guess a lot of starting goaltenders got played a lot this season. More than you used to see, I think. I don't know if the numbers bear that out. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I don't know either. I couldn't say off the top of my head.
That was a really nice. Vermette just did some really fancy things. He didn't score, but it sure looked nice.
I noticed you didn't tell us that Minnesota scored, so.
Yeah, no, I just let that one slide right by. Nothing Crawford could do. I don't know. It was a defensive breakdown. It happens. As long as it's still 3-1 at the end of the second period, I'm going to be okay with it.
Tampa Bay and Montreal are going to double overtime.
Yeah, welcome to my life, Tampa Bay and Montreal.
I can't wait.
Is one of you watching that game?
I'm watching Tampa Montreal, so I have it up when it comes back on.
That gif of Ben Bishop shaking off the hit to the head, or the puck to the head, that did not look good.
Yeah.
I feel like
it looks slightly off.
This is yet
Don't worry, guys. Smelling salts. Good to go.
I was going to say, don't worry, guys. He didn't go to the NHL mandated concussion room, so he's probably fine. Yeah, he should. The NHL concussion protocol is a joke. Example 1A. Ben Bishop right now.
How much do you love Zach Parise?
Right now, not at all.
Really?
I'm playing him literally right now. Ask me again once we've won the series.
Got you.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I would give you a different answer. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? God damn it, Dave.
I knew what he was asking and why he was asking it.
Wow, you guys are assholes.
You didn't want spoilers, so we weren't spoiling.
So you were just gonna let me dig myself a hole. I'm glad I gave that answer now.
Yeah, I was really hoping you were gonna say that you love him or something.
Why is no one on the defensive side of Zach Parise as he goes? You know where he's going. He always.
Well, it is a power play.
Come on.
Don't worry, it's only 3-2.
Yeah, as I literally said 5 minutes ago, we know a 3-goal lead means nothing.
He also said as long as it ends 3-1, you'll be happy.
I also did not say this, but I thought this, which is that the most important thing is for our penalty kill to be good this series. It doesn't matter about our power play as long as the penalty kill is good. And that is what I would call a penalty kill not being good.
I heard a stat that the last team to win the Stanley Cup with a top 5 power play was Detroit in 2010.
2008.
Yeah. What am I talking about? Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's vastly more important to have a good penalty kill.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys led me on like that. You are such assholes.
You said you didn't want spoilers.
I know. I did not mean.
I was waiting for you to be like, wait, what are you guys saying? Why are you asking me this? But you never did.
How much do you love Ryan Suter?
No, he did not score.
No, he didn't. I'm just messing.
Stop doing it right now, so.
Oh my god, that's so mean. That's so mean. No, I can't trust anyone right now. I can't trust anything.
Just wait for Twitter. Twitter will update you.
No, I'm off Twitter right now, so I don't want to be spoiled.
That's a good strategy.
I know.
Where are you watching this game that's so far behind for you?
I'm watching it on NBC's website.
Yeah, they do. A little bit behind, so.
So it's 13:50 in the second right now. What time is it for you?
ICNBC. It's commercial.
Oh.
So you have nothing to worry about until the commercial.
Clear the fucking zone. Jesus Christ. We must be getting outshot by like 50%.
Let's see, how bad are you guys being outshot?
Are you guys getting out Corsied?
I think we are getting out Corsied.
The shots are 19-13 in favor of the Wild. Sorry, 21-13. It just updated.
Yeah, so 50%.
Oh, Parise also drew that penalty. Nice.
Yeah. To be fair, drawing a holding penalty on Roosevelt is not very hard.
Why are you guys still playing him?
Take it up with Joel Quenneville.
Zach Parise just broke Marian Gaborek's playoff point record for the Minnesota Wild.
Good for fucking him.
Zach Parise now has 23 points as a Wild player in the playoffs. Boom. Marian Gaborik basically held all the records for the Wild, so. It makes you wonder how great he could have been if he didn't play in such a defensive system.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder the same thing about Kopitar all the time, too. Like, if Kopitar played in, like, Chicago or Tampa Bay or somewhere, I wonder how many points he would have.
That's an interesting question.
I mean, I think the 2 Stanley Cups he has kind of overranks the many points he gets.
I mean, that's true, too, but... And you watch him in internationalized, like at the Olympics, just turn it up, you're like, God.
I mean, he doesn't really have a team around him in Slovenia, though.
The American Indian Center was promoting at the Blackhawks game tonight, so obviously they don't seem to have an issue with the Blackhawks.
To be fair, the Crawford mask came out today. Also, to be fair, the amount of money that is donated to them by the Blackhawks is not trivial. Also, the fact that they were there doesn't mean that the mask isn't racist. It is.
That's fine. I'm just saying. I thought it was interesting.
I'm sure someone ought to interview them about the mask, about whether they knew or not, because it really is a problem.
I mean, he's not the first Chicago player to have that type of mask.
No, he's not. That's another thing I don't get.
He's the 4th.
Who had it previously?
Hugh Waves had it. It's on the Our Hockey thread. Let me pull it up.
I remember the QA mask. I didn't like that either. I don't think it was the same as this one, though.
My internet loads. I just gotta find it, because it was in the Crawford thread on Our Hockey.
Can you link that in the sidebar?
Pranger and also Jeff Hackett. I will link. Okay, it's in our sidebar.
I always forget there's a guy with that name.
Did you want me to like? It was yeah, Pranger, Huey, and Jeff Hackett.
Reddit search sucks. I can't find this.
It's literally like the third one down on the front page.
Well, every time I upvote something, it no longer appears. Same with downvotes.
I put it in the sidebar, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, just
all right. I'm looking at his mask again. Yeah, there are definitely ones that seemed like in the past they were a lot more racially driven. Like I kind of feel like this is something where he's thought that this just looked cool and didn't really think about what the effect would be.
Sure, hockey players are dumb. I'm 100% sure he has no idea what the context for a war bonnet is. It doesn't excuse it. As they say on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, kill me, still racist.
Second overtime is about to start for Tampa Bay and the Canadiens. Just started. Puck drop. How many overtimes do you think this game's gonna go?
I hope it goes to 4, so they all suffer as I suffer.
I just hope it doesn't beat the record. I want that record to stand forever. The record is 5 overgames between the Penguins and the Flyers in 2000.
That's not the record.
That's the record for the longest playoff overtimes, yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. The longest 2 games ever were in the 1930s.
They don't count. They're not modern.
They had the forward pass by then.
It doesn't count.
You know why those games lasted so long, though, realistically?
Why?
They didn't have 4 lines back then.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically just had a lot of zombies on the ice. Because the first time the teams rolled with multiple lines was 1925, when the Pittsburgh Pirates did it. And then teams started rolling with more. But before that, you really only had 1 or 2 substitutes, and not whole lines. And by the time those games were played in 1930 and 36, you tended to have more teams rolling 2 lines, or maybe even 3 lines, but you still mostly relied on your first or second line, so they were just worn out by that time. So they would just skate and skate and skate, but nothing would happen because nobody had the energy to do anything.
Okay. Yeah, I just looked up. It was the game on March 24th, 1936, between Detroit and Montreal. It was 176 minutes and 30 seconds of gameplay. 6 overtimes.
Yep.
But
and it was a 1-0 game.
Yep.
As was the second longest game.
Oh, guys.
Oh, Ari.
I was reading on Twitter, and I spoiled it. It hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to be tied.
I wasn't even aware.
I hate this team.
I'm watching this double overtime game, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm watching double overtime. That's more exciting.
I hate this team.
No, you don't.
I hate them so much. I hate them more than I hate any other team.
You don't hate them more than the Blues.
Strong point.
You probably don't hate them more than you hate the Predators.
I definitely
hate
them more than I hate
Tampa
the Predators.
Bay just won it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you, Tampa Bay. You just won me money.
Tampa Bay just won it.
Oh, come on, guys.
That's all I really care about is how much money I made off of this.
Who won it for Tampa Bay?
One of them is not Kucherov.
Stamkos, man.
I've had actually really good success betting in this playoffs. I don't bet a lot of money, though. I only bet like $10 to $20 per game, but...
Does anybody have anything else they wanted to cover?
Ooh, the Dodgers are up 5-0 already? I bet on them, too. Sweet!
Dave's just winning money out here. Alright, so I guess if there's something else?
Actually, there was something I was going to bring up earlier.
Yeah?
I need to remember what it was. Hold on 1 second. I know I looked something up here a second ago. There's one of the subjects on our hockey this week.
Wonder what it could be.
Oh! I was going to make fun of that chick that lit the thing on fire in Tampa Bay, the Detroit fan.
Wait, what is
But
this now?
I thought that was hilarious. I mean, it's
I
not
did not
hilarious
see
because
this.
somebody could have gotten burned, but the fact that somebody would try to light the flag on fire in the stadium has to be one of the all-time stupidest things I've ever seen the fan do.
What flag do they try to light on fire now?
So the Tampa Bay Lightning were passing a giant flag around the stadium like teams do, right?
Yeah.
And this chick who was a Detroit fan decided that she would try to light it on fire while it's being passed around.
Why?
I don't know.
That could have ended so poorly.
Alcohol, probably?
That could have been terrible.
Yes, I know. That's why it's amazing.
And plus, isn't that like what type of flag was it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the U.S. flag or a Tampa Bay flag. I
Because
don't
if
know.
it's the
was
U.S.
a Tampa
flag,
Bay
isn't
flag.
that? I would say if it's the U.S. flag, isn't that considered like a traitorous thing?
No. There's no law against burning the flag.
Okay.
But I thought that was pretty funny.
That could have been terrible.
Remember when Johnny Gaudreau wanted to light his stick on fire? That was a better idea. And that's saying something. because
Oh yeah,
that
he
was a
was
terrible
gonna do that in
idea.
the All-Star game, wasn't he?
I
He
know.
wasn't allowed.
And then the Department of Player Safety was like, no?
Don't worry, we got to see Jakub Voracek pick him up and try to carry him down the ice to have him score.
That was adorable.
That was a better moment.
That was
Yeah.
very cute.
That was perfect.
I got nothing else, I think.
All right.
Yeah, I don't
To be
really
fair,
know.
my energy just level went down like 100 notches on that third goal.
We've been at
I
this.
mean,
for
if you
2
want
hours.
to stay on until the end of this game for emotional support, we can do that. But
Are you guys going to support me emotionally? I know that Dave...
I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure. I'm
I didn't
actually-
bet on this game, so I'm just rooting for good hockey.
I mean, I'm about like 6 beers in at this point, so I don't know how emotional I can be.
Oh, that usually makes me more emotional.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm as stoic as they come until I get alcohol in me.
No, that kind of levels me out.
I'm...
It's weird how alcohol has that effect on, like, different effects on different people. But I guess it depends on what you drink too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at beer, so. I'm kind of mixing between Yingling and Molson because that's all I have left in my fridge. Well, that's all I drink.
I have no alcohol in the house right now.
Neither do I.
I got the Molson when I went to a Flyers game because I couldn't find the Yingling in the store. I figure that's a good alternative.
I do
No,
think
they
those...
only had Yingling cans, and I was really pissed.
I
so I
do
don't
think those
drink
Molson cans with the Stanley Cup on them are really cool looking.
hmm
I really like those.
Yeah, I refuse to drink cans, and they only had cans of Yingling, so I got Molson.
Why do you refuse to drink cans?
I just don't like the cans. I just don't like
Is
cans.
there some sort of taste difference?
It's just a personal preference.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. So. Yeah. Alright, if there's something else, I guess I'll go into the outro crap I have to do.
Yes, let's do that.
So, I've been Dave Balls, known as Blinson on Reddit, at Blinson1 on Twitter. She has been Ari Raid, as she's known on Twitter and Reddit. He has been known as LA Kings Dave on Twitter and Reddit. You can find us on our website, ourhockeycast.com. You can go to our subreddit, r/ourhockeycast. You can find us on YouTube at ourhockeycast. We are on iTunes. That is updated, so you can find us there. And you can talk to us on Twitter at ourhockeycast. So without further ado, I say good night to all of you guys.
I love you all.
Looking forward to talking to you guys in a week and seeing how our predictions look.
All right.
Night, guys. Thanks for listening.
Later.
Night.